We're going to get started. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Hello, ladies. Since the two food truck ladies, I think instead of doing codification, if you're okay with that, we'll go to food trucks so that in case they need to leave.
Sure.
If you'd like to, I'd like you both, could you come up and talk with us?
That would be great,
so that you're not
I can't
going
hear
to
a word you guys are saying.
Yes.
It just, like, I can't ever hear.
I know, it's not.
I need
Oh,
a headset.
we're trying to find we used to have little mics up here. We don't know what happened to them. They've disappeared.
What?
Little mic,
phone.
we had mics
Oh, yeah,
up here.
I mean,
They're gone.
I literally can't hear you. Yeah.
Okay, well, a couple weeks ago, we introduced the idea of maybe changing the food truck. Not really I guess that's not really the ordinance, it's the application and the fees that we're talking about, but I don't know if the ordinance might need some changes. So Jenny wasn't able to be here, something had come up, so I wanted her to speak, and then Jen had some thoughts too. So I'd like you guys to go ahead and give us your thoughts on it, and then we'll discuss it.
I thought this was the sit down around the table meeting, so I apologize.
It is kind of, we just don't go back there
Yeah,
anymore.
okay.
Since we're on YouTube, we can't be back there.
Oh, yes, okay.
Okay.
So, I met with Lori after the last meeting, and while I appreciate the work that you guys did whenever this was done, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, however long ago it was done, I just, in requesting another look at it, I think it probably was a little overdone, and with good intent. The way I understand it was, we didn't have many food trucks around, and somebody came and said, what do I need to do? And then it was like, oh, we don't have anything, so let's make something. So, my concern is, this didn't become an issue for me personally until we moved the brewery up here. Because we had food trucks all the time, like all the time. Every Tuesday for, Cornhole League, and weekends and volleyball. And so we had all these great food trucks coming out, and it was very helpful. The public loved it. We'd have people come out, not even drink a beer. They just get their takeout and see you later. So when we got up here, I started scheduling them, and they're like, yeah, we don't come to Glenwood. And I'm like, what do you mean you don't come to Glenwood? You've been coming to Glenwood for years. Yeah, no, we don't do that anymore. Well, we can't come in the city limits. And I'm like, oh, wow, why is that? Well, it's a $300 fee. I'm like, oh my God, okay, I get it now. So it didn't become personal for me or a business concern until that. So I did work with a guy at Brunings, Mike, I remember his first name, very nice gentleman. And he set up outside and was approached and said, you need to pay the $300. So he paid the $300. And he's been doing a lot of business around Glenwood. He was just at Les Hills, which is obviously outside city limits, but he served 150 people. He does barbecue. He does a great twist on barbecue. He came to our place for St. Patty's Day, did some Texas Reubens, and people just loved him. He offers something completely different than is offered from our brick and mortar restaurants. So I got to talking to him about what his business looks like. So I have my little notes here, so I apologize. He, not only do these guys pay local and state tax, so we are getting money from them. If the intent was to charge $300 as a revenue maker, they're contributing. He carries a $2 million general liability on his rig. He has a commercial auto policy for his truck and his trailer at $1 million. His total expense for just insurance, and Matt and I had talked about this, about making sure they were safe and making sure that they were clean and had their permits, which is done at the state level. So I kind of pushed back on that a little bit, but his total expense annually is $7,000 just in insurance for his rig. I think there may be a misconception that these guys come in and they make just tons of money on their food. Most of these guys do this because they love to cook, and it's either a side hustle or they were a chef and they wanted to try something new. The Brunings guy actually works at the Furniture Mart, but he loves doing barbecue, and he said, you know what, I'm going to try a new business. So he started a new business. One of the things that I have talked to Lori about, which I think is a great option, is some of these guys could turn into a brick and mortar restaurant for us. We still have lots of open buildings around here, and if they do a good enough job, they can keep their truck and ship them to Council Bluffs and have a restaurant here, which is what Hobby does at El Breton. So, anyway, just wanted to talk to you a little bit about what we could do to decrease the fee. I think probably all of them would welcome the opportunity to come back to Glenwood because they did great, but they're just not willing to pay the $300. I did ask Mike about the other towns that he goes to. He is actually going to Red Oak later this week. Clarinda has no fee. Red Oak has a $15 a day, $50 for 6 months, or $100 a year. Malvern, he said he thinks, he's not sure about this one, is $25 a day. Is that right?
Yeah.
Griswold, $15 a day. Council Bluffs is kind of weird because they section off their downtown. So if you're on the 100 block, you get to pay $200 to bring your truck. Anywhere else, it's $100. So
Per day?
What's that?
Per day? Or
For
per?
a year, annual.
Oh, annually.
A year. So these guys typically, since we are in Iowa, they typically run their trucks 6 to maybe 8 months a year because they're not going to bring them. Most of them aren't going to do this in the wintertime. So I just think that if we could consider other options for those fees, that would be great. I go back to the community piece of it and having the square full. I would love to have the square full on Wednesdays for the farmer's market and other homecoming and things like that. So anyway, that's all I got.
Yeah, and I sent some information to Natalie 2 days ago, not a long time ago. I admit that, it was not a long time
She
ago.
sent it to us, so we've got.
Perfect, yeah, just doing a comparison. I compared us to other towns similar in population. I also did Malvern and Council Bluffs, that's kind of close to us. And then I just found a town that does a homecoming event like we do, just to compare numbers. And we are pretty significantly more expensive. So that's just kind of where I'm at least. And I'm coming at this from a nonprofit special event angle. It's hard for me. And as I mentioned 2 weeks ago, I will always try to go local and bring in our local people who own food trucks, because this Brunings guy's local. Silver City. There's a lot of local food vendors. So I'll always give them first dibs, but they don't always have the resources to come down. And so then I have to look elsewhere, and it's really hard when our fees just so
Or
much
they're
higher.
booked, because Brunings is booked all the time. I keep trying to name it, he's always booked. So.
Yeah, I finally got the other barbecue place for this year, so I'm excited about that.
So I'll jump in, because I reached out to Jenny, and part of the reason I want to jump in is to give, I told Donnie that I was gonna meet with Jenny and mentioned it to Angie as well. So part of it I just want to say is background on how we got here. But the reason I reached out to Jenny is because I'm sure everybody remembers, I had a pretty strong reaction to, like, we are not doing this again, right? We jumped through the hoops, we worked with the business owners, we did all of that. And I apologized. I didn't have a chance to talk to you, Jen, but I apologized to Jenny because I did. I was just like, we keep revisiting these same things and not doing it again. And I went home that night, and my reaction really bothered me because I was like, well, wait a minute. I'm not really looking at this big picture, and I needed to take a step back. And so I reached out to Jenny and said, I want to sit down. Because of all the work, when we go back to how this started, we had a local vendor that came to us and said, hey, I'm interested. You guys don't really have anything. Let's start looking at it. So we did. And we talked with business owners, and we brought everybody in. And by the time we got to it, Donnie, I don't know if you remember, I even made the comment, do we want food trucks or do we not? Because we've now almost made it so hard to get a food truck here that it's because the park came up. Like, we couldn't, the trucks wanted to go to the park, and we couldn't go to the park because we'd set it up this way. And the other thing that hit me was, because we had worked with the business owners, again, my reaction was, I want to stay true to what we had said to them. And I do still have the same feeling about the food trucks come in and then the ones that aren't local, and then they go and they don't contribute as much. They do contribute some, but not as much as our brick and mortar everyday businesses that we all know get hit by every club, every high school group, anything. But my thought was wrong, because if I were to say no to food trucks, this business right here is a business that is one of those businesses that gets hit up and contributes to all of them. And I didn't want to do that. And so Jenny and I talked, and we were both going to do some research and look at pricing and how to do it. We knew that day, like, we don't have an answer. I don't know what that magic number is, but I think it's worth all of us asking ourselves, do we want food trucks? Because if we do, I think it needs to be easier. Competition isn't a bad thing. It's good for the entire community. So I think it's worth considering. And I know that that's a really long way to say that we did our research, we did our work, and maybe this one is one of those that it's worth thinking about. But I don't know, again, I don't know what that number is.
Can I jump in with one more thought? So things evolve. And so here we are circling back. They, I cannot give you the date. They, on a federal level, actually state and federal, they are going towards this as have the new act called the Food Truck Freedom Act. So I think everybody is just like struggling with this, because food trucks became, they just kind of blew up. And so I think people are struggling with, and they want to be fair to both the business owners, because I wrote my little note here, non-local don't contribute, but I think they do on the tax side, and then they do for me for sure. I mean, obviously they contribute to my business, because you can only eat at the 4 sit-down restaurants we have so many times. Guess what? They're still not gonna stay here. They're just gonna drive over the river. You know what I mean? Or they're gonna drive down the road. So keeping them here is good. So I hope that when you think about that challenge, do we want food trucks here? They really are a good thing. And I think the comment about competition is good. There's nothing better, because you have to keep it fresh and step up your game every day. You can't get resting on your laurels, and it really is good for everybody. So I like I said, I've got tons of articles I can share with you. I just want to come to a happy medium. And I thought it was interesting, this Food Truck Freedom Act. What they do in, I think it's 5 states now, they just, as long as you're following state and local laws, once you get a state permit, you can go anywhere you want. They don't have any of this rigmarole with all the towns. So anyway,
Good
for
to
all
know.
that's worth.
I'm not trying to hog the floor, so you guys can all just say, like, Lori, you said your piece, but I want to address, because Matt, I know you and I talked about it, and you had a concern about being able to get there, check all the paperwork and all of that. So I want to make sure that you know that I didn't just throw away what you said, and I want you to be part of that. Is it reasonable to say we need, like, in this specific case, and they schedule those long enough out that whatever. Is it something that we want to consider? I don't know, 72 hours too long? Is it that somebody shows up here on Tuesday morning and wants to be here Tuesday afternoon? I don't know. I mean, Matt, that's where you would need to weigh in. I'm not trying to make your job harder.
Well, in the ordinance now, it says that unless otherwise provided, applications must be submitted not less than 7 calendar days prior to the proposed start date. So you already have a week notice.
And is that right?
I don't know.
I mean,
Something to
in this
address
case,
when
I
you
think
start
it is,
talking
if we're
about
talking
it.
homecoming,
Yeah,
we know when
events.
homecoming is.
Yeah.
Jenny knows this is what I've got going on in
Yes.
October.
And I don't know how
Whatever.
far out you
I
schedule
guess I'm
your
just
events.
confused about why do you care? If the
The
state
only
is
thing-
giving them their safety and their license and doing their inspection, why are you doing one?
We
Make
just
sure
have
they're
to,
following through with the fire protection and stuff that they're supposed to be required. If they have an exhaust system in there, to make sure that they're not setting the fuel containers, if they're running any type of fuels closer to where the heating is, extension cords that are running where they're not supposed to be running. Making sure their fire extinguishers are tested and making sure that they are actually certified for that.
Have you had any that were not in compliance yet?
I had one that I went and inspected, but they wanted to hurry up and get it done for rag dry.
Oh,
And I went out there and dropped everything to go out there, and it was not one that I would not have wanted anybody to eat it.
right.
so I'm gonna ask a
Reason why you
stupid
look
question though, like, because I don't know. So it's not a stupid question, I just don't know. If a state certifies a vehicle, are they just certifying that it's clean enough to serve food out of,
They give them
or?
a thing, basically, they provide the documentation, basically the states that, okay, they've got insurance, they've got this, they've got that. And they send them, basically the Iowa Department of Inspection Appeals sends them a thing saying that this is the food truck. If you go to any other city, they have a food truck inspection process. They look at them, this fire department says, okay, yeah, you meet the requirements. And that's one of the reasons why they do it, it's for safety, so we're not pulling up and we have holes in our gas tank that are, for cooking the food. They're not having equipment that's not basically safe for the public to come in, or they're also making sure that it's safe for the people to walk around it. There's a bunch of different things that we inspect that we take a look at.
So the state doesn't do that, that's up to the local?
They probably can't because they're giving them the license, but they're not gonna be able to follow them around the state and check every time.
I just didn't know what kind of documentation they have to
I
provide.
honestly, I don't know either.
So providing that they've got everything they need on the rig, but you have to look at it and make sure that once they set it up, that they've set it up correctly and
And then
safely.
basically that when they're coming here, they're not just pulling up, throwing things out.
And if you're not available, do you have somebody
But
else?
he's not inspecting them when they get here.
Yeah,
So when are you
I
expecting,
set up an inspection before they come.
before
I
they
go and
come?
inspect, yes.
Oh,
Like the food, the actual fish truck,
yeah.
when they came and they didn't have an inspection, I went down and inspected it that day that they arrived. 'Cause I
So
had
where are
one
you
that-
inspecting them? At their home facility then? You go into their,
I've been up to the one off Locust Street when they come in.
so when they're setting up then
Yep,
you're going
I come
up?
in and I
Okay,
show
that's what- I
everything
thought you
that's
said
set
you
up as
did.
well. But there are some that I have gone to their homes.
But that's when he's certifying them for the first time.
That's you do that once, you're not doing that every time
I usually
Rooney's
check- go
pulls
and check
into
them out
town.
during the week, like if they come in and they're renewing their certification, as long as they send me everything, the licensing requirement, the insurance and all that stuff and everything's still the same, I still make an effort to go down and just kind of walk around and look at them to make sure that they are compliant with it.
But
Well,
you
and
wouldn't
if
hold them up. You wouldn't,
What's that?
if you've already certified them and they're
So
coming
they're
back.
good
with-
through the
Never
time
get
that
them
they're-
to come in, no.
Their application's
I
6
just-
months,
once
they should
come
be
in,
good for
they've
6
got all that
months.
Stuff that meets the requirement with the fire extinguishers, the suppression systems that they're supposed to have with the different classes of, you have different classes that they have. And it's noted on our application, those different applications.
But then they would be good for that time of the application, then, once you do
They've
that.
begun to good.
Unless you get a
full
complaint.
year or whatever the license is for.
Okay,
But if you're talking about doing daily, I shouldn't have to, but like I said, even with these ones that come in, I still go down and make sure that they're not
Okay.
putting their generators right up next to the cab, or they've got exhaust blowing into the food cabinet and stuff like that.
okay.
But that would be like any restaurant that someone, an inspector could pop in, right, to double
Mhm.
check. So whether you make it or you don't make it on their third, fourth, fifth time to Glenwood, as long as you've
Usually they
inspected
have
on the
a
first
license
time.
and they've proved that they have everything functioning the way it's supposed to, I just leave them alone.
So you don't see a problem then, being able to go out?
Like I said, I've only had one problem.
Okay.
I've had to tell them to move some stuff when they,
Yeah,
because they had it too close to where we had flammables sitting right next to a
Yeah.
operating generator that was created.
because you would have the right to shut them down if you had to.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
So then I'm gonna call in Eric for backup. Right, Eric?
So if we changed it to read 24 hours notice required,
I'd like to have a little bit more notice than that, at least know when they're gonna be here, so I can move them
I
in my
thought the fee
schedule.
was the part we didn't like.
I think we're looking at,
I think it's gotta be both. If we're gonna, cause I don't wanna do it again in 3 months is my thing. So I think the fee is it, but then I think we have, cause what are we gonna do then when,
We're only-
now we've lowered the fee and
I'm just
now,
gonna advocate for, we're only so many people and.
Yeah, I
sometimes-
think we leave, just me, I think a 7-day, a week notice is plenty enough.
for the first time, right? But do you need that much notice?
He doesn't need to do it every time if they have a
Yeah,
6-month
yeah, not every
license. He's
time.
only
But if
expecting
you're
unless
having-
he needs.
So they don't need 7 days notice coming back every single time.
No,
No.
if you're having a new food truck coming in for 1 day, you need at least a 7-day notice to get the paperwork inspection done. Then after that, if they wanna come back. But if you got somebody driving down the interstate with a food truck and they just wanna come in and give Mitch $10 and work for the day to get gas money to get to the next town, I don't think that's right. You need to have,
And you book well in advance of 7 days.
Yeah.
would you-
But so when Matt, what I hear you saying is, it's one inspection. So if I want to be a daily person, I'm gonna come 4 times this summer. And I already know, well, I may or may not know that, but somebody else might wanna have me. But I get an annual, or I get inspected, that gives me my go-ahead to operate in Glenwood. Then any day that I wanna come, I come up and pay my $15. 2 days in advance, or 5 days in advance, or whatever. Is that what you're saying?
As long as you've got the inspection for that year on.
For the year?
You're
The
good.
daily goes for the year though, right?
Yeah.
Is that what we're saying? Okay.
So I don't think it's a big issue.
I think it's just a language.
Yeah,
I think it's a language.
that's what I
think
think
you just need
yeah,
to
yes,
change.
for the first
Yeah.
time, 7 days. For a new applicant, I think that's the only thing
Yeah.
that has to change in that wording then would be if you're a new applicant, you have to have a 7 days notice.
So which 2 council members would like to look at this application and come back with some revisions? And maybe invite them to be part of the conversation further? Are you willing to?
I can, and I also talked to the Roundtable Tea, like their owners, Rebecca. And they felt, while they understood like food trucks are good, obviously as business owners, they're like, we would prefer it not to be parked in front of our business, and which, she had some concerns. She also brought up, was there a way to, maybe put a limit on how many are in town if it's a non-event day, like for an event, RAGBRAI and all of that kind of stuff, having, 30 food trucks is great. But on any given weekend, to have an abundance of food trucks, I could see what she's talking about from a business perspective. Like, you wouldn't necessarily want every business in town to have their own food trucks if you're wanting people to, to have kind of a, I don't know. So I just told her I would throw it out. That was really her only concern as far as, the pricing was a little concerning considering when you talk about overhead for their rent and their salaries, that it was probably kind of high, but also she didn't feel like $10 a day or $15 was, fair either to the businesses. So that was really kind of her only suggestions, was just to really think about what we were going to charge. And maybe
I
if we
think
could have a
it's the
limit.
fee structure is what we need to figure out. And I would be happy to be a part of it, but I also want to be very honest, and for work, I have got 3 trips between now and the end of June.
Okay.
And so I
you're
don't want to
available?
commit, and
I'm out the first 2 weeks of June, but after that I'm back and I'm good. So it just depends on how fast you want us to like get this turned around.
Yesterday,
Yesterday.
because
Okay.
I can't even book anybody until you guys get.
Is there anybody
Yes.
available for the next 2 weeks to work on this? And I'll help you.
I can work on it. I'm out of town starting June 14th, but if we can do it before then,
Okay.
or I could do a nice
Because
handoff.
our next
or
meeting
whatever.
is, what day is?
I'm here the first week of June, and then I'm gone after today, then I'm here, and then I'm gone.
And I can provide you like feedback through email if we're just gonna like share the final draft or whatever and get it ready.
Maybe
for-
do a phone call with each of you. Do
Yeah.
you want to do it with a phone
That's
call or
fine. You
two?
wanna do that?
Okay, so we're
All
gonna
right, we'll do
sign
this.
that.
We'll get it done.
One more thing,
Yes.
if we're looking at the whole thing and not just the fee structure. So, one of the concerns last time was that I was within 100 yards or 100 feet of another restaurant. Can there be some provision that says it's fine if they're fine with it? Like, the Chinese restaurant's not even open on Saturdays. So,
Oh.
And that's a disadvantage to the restaurants that are on the square, because you're always gonna be within 100 or
That's what,
likely
I
gonna
mean,
be.
we spent a lot of time trying to get it so that everybody was
I
okay
think
and
the
good
ordinance
with
says
that.
something about if the restaurant's closed, it doesn't,
it does say that?
It does,
something,
yeah.
something to that effect.
Okay.
So we'll make a note to address that.
So you're saying either get rid of it or have it parked on your own property, or just no?
I don't think parking it on our own property is even a problem. And that's the other thing that I told Lori, I'm like, I'm pretty sure I can just open the gate and have them come in. So I don't even, if this doesn't work for all of us, but I wanted to work together
Yeah.
to make this happen.
But it's also like, not every business has that option though, right?
No, I know,
Well, and my event's on the
Correct.
street, literally.
Right, so just
Correct.
making sure we're doing this one time that works for you and works
No, no,
for
no.
others,
Yep, for
other
sure.
folks as well.
But I wanna create an environment where we're not just talking about one street dance
Yeah.
once a year, like I would love, like you said,
If there's another event coming.
all
Food
the,
truck roundup,
Food truck
right on
roundups,
the
they have
square, and
them
it's
now.
nuts,
They're
like,
fun.
I'm,
Well,
Yeah.
Plattsmouth has a food truck day. Malvern has a food truck
Yeah.
day. I mean, there's nothing wrong with
And
that.
I
other
imagine
businesses
that
could
on
benefit
any
from that,
given
right?
day-
People are getting out and about, they're
Right.
just out. And I can
Right.
say, like, when the Chick-fil-A truck was down at wherever it was
Oh,
at,
yes.
like, people were buzzing about that, right? And so if they're out of their houses, they might make a stop somewhere else,
well,
right?
that's the argument I've had for 6 years now about bringing the street dance to the square. That was hurting all these businesses. No, I'm not, like, you can't even get into the bars on the
Right.
square.
well, and
Right.
that's against
So-
the background, and Donnie, I'm sure, this is where we started. This was where it started, like, we wanna have food truck roundups, and by the time we got to it, by the time we got to the end, there were so many stipulations.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That it was like, do we want them or don't we? Because it
Yeah.
is so hard now to have a food truck here.
Right.
So one of the articles I'm gonna send you, it says, city governments sometimes make bad laws. And this is what happens, because they, you're
Best
trying
of
really,
intentions.
you're
but you
trying
end up
really
with-
hard.
If you send it to
have the
me, I'll
best
forward it out to
intentions.
everybody.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
So
Let's just try.
Keep my copy, I don't want
in your
don't want that one.
research, did you find that any communities were charging less to local vendors and maybe a little higher fee to outside vendors, just again to give a little bit of relief and prioritization to those that are local?
I honestly
Versus-
didn't
No?
even do that
I did
research.
not see that, but that is what we did for Rag Ride.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the only time that I
Yeah.
remember that being a
Yeah.
thing.
Right.
It's
And
something
did,
you guys can discuss and bring to the table
And
and have further
nonprofits
discussion.
too.
yeah, and did you feel like that made a difference or not?
I mean, for Rag Ride, I think it did. I think Tom and Tips came down. I don't know that they would have if they had to pay the same amount
Yeah.
as the other for-profit vendors.
Yeah.
That doesn't really count as a food truck though.
It was not.
Yeah.
That's how you're gonna set up
It was
a temporary.
Yeah.
That's
Temporary.
different.
Kind of like Adriana's bringing us
That's
pizza
different.
on
You
his
move
little
your food
pizza
like-
cart.
So but they were able to pay the local
Yeah.
fee.
That-
They probably wouldn't have if they had to pay
Okay,
that.
well, if you want to be back in 2 weeks, there's two.
So can I ask a clarifying question? So it sounds like we just need like a daily rate fee, and we need an event schedule,
And you need to look,
Separately,
and you
like,
need to look at
two-
the fees right now are too high.
right? And the
Yeah.
two need to
Well,
be
the
completely
thing-
called out separately, right?
I think, which is why if I can make it work, I will make it work. I don't know that we want daily or if we just want the fees low enough that they're encouraged to buy an annual, right? I don't
So
want
what
us
I've
doing
seen are daily, half
paperwork
a year,
and
annual.
Annual, okay.
A lot of them probably don't wanna do the annual, cause they're not gonna, the only annual ones I know of really are the ones that set up in the Gene Leahy Mall
Yeah.
all year round, because they have so
The
much foot traffic.
fees were low enough, say $60 a year. I'm making that number up. It comes from nowhere. $60 a year. And they could come down as many times as they want. So that's all I'm saying is to look at, do we really want a daily? Because now we're putting a burden on Matt
No, he doesn't need to do anything after the first time.
after but either way, that's gonna highly encourage people to come for a day, right? It is going to ultimately add more work.
The initial application will still have to be submitted 7 days out.
Yes.
And then after that, they could pay a daily rate moving forward
Yes,
without all
without
the
the
inspection.
inspection.
Right, because the first one, the application fee is to cover essentially Matt's time for going
Right.
over the application. The daily permit is the fee that's coming to the city, right? I mean, so that annual or whatever the fee is for their application being reviewed isn't their daily.
Right, right.
That's something, not to overcomplicate it, but it feels like if they had one annual low fee, then their daily could still be a very small permit fee, like daily permit fee or something.
Yeah.
I'm on the hook and, one of the other ones that come down and sit in Vanguard. I've never heard a complaint out of them on the price of it usually. And they're just like, okay, I give them, they'll call and ask about it, I'll give them the stuff. And they're like, okay, and then they'll call back in and pay the yearly fee.
Yeah, so I think the goal is to make sure that
Chick-fil-A is a
Matt's
big
time
chain.
is
It's a
covered, so
chain
the
restaurant.
city's
But Chick-fil-A is Chick-fil-A.
They can afford,
They have $1 trillion marketing.
some of these are small
100%.
enough, they can't.
That's different than these guys.
Yeah. Okay, thank you ladies for being
Thank
here.
you.
Appreciate it.
Danny,
See
can we
you in
get
2
a copy
weeks.
of the ordinance? Because I
And
think the
the
last
application.
ordinance that we had was the wrong copy of,
Not now, but if you
not
could
now,
send
sorry,
it to them.
just afterwards.
And the application, the current application, we probably need that.
And then Natalie and I will reach out to you guys, maybe set up a call or something after we've had a chance to just talk.
Thank
And
you. Thank you.
Thank you.
you might know someone who's got a spot where we could meet for,
Okay, let's go to codification update. Mitch?
Okay, great. So, not to be the curmudgeon about all the things on the committee meeting that say ordinance, but I'm going to ask here that we don't change any ordinances until we finish the codification update, because every time we change an ordinance, it pushes this back farther. And so just a little history, the city engaged a company called the Iowa Codification to compile our ordinances that were not in the code book and update any others to be compatible with state law in January of 2020. And work to complete the review on the updated code book has been complicated over the years by turnover on the council, mayor, administrator, and city clerk positions. But we have a draft of the code book from the company that the city just needs to look over and then send the company any new ordinances we have passed, and then the company will send us proceedings on how to adopt the updated code book. My hope is that we can just get the code book updated, and then we can begin to work on any updating of other ordinances we want to update. Also, we need to update the land development ordinance. I just visited the planning and zoning meeting the other day, and they mentioned that. So I will gladly provide you with digital or printed off copies of the code book.
How many pages was that?
It's quite a few.
Hundreds.
Let me know if you would like if you want a printed off copy, you can let me know. I think Mike wants a printed off copy.
If it's like hundreds of pages, I know, no
Okay.
bother.
Didn't you send us a link to that a while ago?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think Joe sent it, or
somebody
had
sent
me
it
send
because
it
I
my first week.
started
or
and then I
something.
stopped.
But it's a process that most cities complete every 2 years, where you take your ordinances that you've adopted and you get them into your code book.
If we
and
change.
make any updates to other ordinances in the code to comply with state law. It's something that lots of cities just do consistently. And we've started it in 2020, and we've been kicking the can for 5 years. And it's just something we need to get completed. And we've kind of been stringing out this company for a while, and they've been very patient with us. It's not really, we don't really have that much left to do, except for just make sure there's nothing crazy with typos or anything in there. We're not really reviewing every ordinance for content and ideal changes at this time. It's really just looking at the updates they made to get us up with state law, and then getting that new code book from them, putting it online and printing it off for us to use when we have discussions like the food truck ordinance, or because one of the things that they'll do in there, if you look right now in our code book, we've got like 3 different things for the food truck. It cleans it up because it cleans up the ordinances that have been passed.
So what do you need from us and what's the
So I'll
timeline?
send you the link, and I was hoping that, on the 10th, we could discuss any you could review it, and then at the 10th, we could discuss any questions with the updates that he's made. And then after that, I could send him any updates we have, along with our new ordinances that Danny has a list already. And then they can incorporate that and then send us the proceedings that we could just get adopted and then get online. And
Mhm.
Is it a red line version so we know it's been updated?
yeah, he's got comments with what's changed, so
Okay.
I'll send it off to you digitally. But if you could take some time to look through his comments and things over the next week or two.
So I want to make sure I understand what you're saying because it's related to the golf cart and the food
I
truck.
don't want to change any of those ordinances until we pass this.
And so you're gonna
Code book
hate me when I say, I feel like we're gonna have to.
Why would we have to?
To
the
do
food-
right by our,
Well, how quickly does this, if we say by the next meeting, everybody has reviewed and everybody is okay with, and then you say,
And then we
great,
go through the normal process of updating ordinances.
or how long does, how,
The food truck.
like at what point would we be able to start updating if we didn't update anything until it's gone through this process that you're?
July. probably.
but the fee structure
That's
is, right?
The fee structure is set by resolution.
It's in the application,
Yeah, we set it by resolution.
so it's not in the
It
ordinance.
says in the
So it
ordinance
should be
that all
effective by
fees
that.
would be set by resolution passed by the.
So that one could change.
Yep.
Same with the
If you're
Golf
charging
cart,
your
the golf
It's
cart
just
will
change
change,
that would
but,
change wording.
but we can give, yeah, but if we get started on it,
But I don't, the
Then
golf
you
cart could wait a couple weeks.
It can
The
wait.
Iowa code book's waited 5 years to be
Yeah.
updated.
Yeah,
So-
just feel like the food trucks, like we're in summer season, right? So we
Right, that's
wanna-
where I'm at with that, and that's even in the golf carts, I was thinking,
Well,
we are
same.
in
I
the
know,
time of
right.
year where this is why people are asking, because they
But I
want
think
to
this
go.
is why the code book thing has never gotten updated.
Yeah,
because we never
Oh,
get.
100%.
I wonder
So I
if,
think
would
we need
it
to
make sense,
prioritize
since
it.
it sounds like folks are gonna have various
You got homework.
availabilities. Would it make sense to assign sections to people? Because the folks getting through 500
Right, yeah.
pages or whatever it is less likely than
Yeah.
someone saying like, you
I
take the
can
first 100,
Send it
you
out with
take.
I can
assignments.
send it out with the.
Is that-
Yeah.
I mean, that's just a recommendation.
It can be
We all
divvied
need
up
to review
fairly.
it all, but
Yeah.
if we're trying to get it done more quickly, especially with
Yeah.
folks being.
Look
I just
for an
think-
email near you. from
And
Mitch.
when I was first starting, Joe was emphasizing to me how it's important for us to finish
It's
this.
Yeah,
way,
no,
way past due.
It's past due, so I really think we need to get it on.
Is that okay with everyone?
Yep,
Sign?
yep.
Okay, great.
Okay, so then, anything else on that?
I don't have anything else.
Okay, golf cart ordinance. Eric, would you like to speak on the changes that we talked about?
I would love to, except my internet's not working, so I don't have access to the changes.
Here, I'll give you my copy. I have one.
Did we just adjust the time? Is that what we were doing?
Mainly,
But look, time and a couple things he came across that he wants to.
Okay.
So he's gonna address.
so we looked at like the operators, if they have a driver's license, I don't see why we aren't letting them operate it. So my recommendation was to change that to 16. The owners that are licensing them, I would keep it 18. A few typos here and there. As far as to address the folks that live on Marion and I'll say Gateway and Hickory Ridge, I put wording in there that says except to access an allowed street. So if they come down Sharp Street, but they've got to dive off on Cypress. Or if they're coming down Sharp Street from the west, they got to dive off on Park Avenue and take side streets over.
Do you
I don't know if the
stipulate
state-
a
if that-
radius though? Like that they have, because otherwise what if you have somebody that says, well, I live on Barris Road, so my first dive off is,
Well, this is
well,
only,
that would be
this only
county.
applies to the city.
City, right.
City, so if they're driving them in the county can pick them up. That's,
Yeah,
we're not.
Is it allowable in the county to drive? golf?
Now the golf cart, they'll get picked up
you would think.
So,
if they get caught.
Right.
They're going out 34 is county.
Oh,
true,
right.
good point. Under operation, we've got operators should use hand signals to indicate turns, so there's no question on that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they're supposed to be equipped with brake lights and headlights.
And mirrors? Is that a thing?
There's no
Mirrors?
Mirrors are one of them. Brake lights, taillights, headlights, adequate brakes, bicycle safety flag, and slow moving vehicle sign are the required items that we have listed. Under direct crossing, which pertains to the prohibited streets again, we put at the first available street at an angle, basically kept the same language other than that. Riding on golf carts or others, we eliminate Cave Creek days and Scarecrow days because we're not really having those much at this point. Now if we bring them back, we just changed it to homecoming. We left in there and it says, or other special events recognized by the city. So that way we're covered if it's the street dance and they choose to utilize a golf cart to get around or whatever they're doing.
You do have to ask, do all golf carts have seatbelts?
No.
Because you have it,
Not
I
normally.
doubt if all of them do, some of them do, I know for a fact.
okay, because you have, it's all passengers under the age of
18.
18 shall wear and utilize an operable seatbelt when the golf cart's in motion, but if there isn't one, how,
Well, if the golf cart's not so old it's not equipped with them, then I guess they'd be exempt. But that or they wouldn't be allowed to have the child ride with them.
That'd be the same with any motorized vehicle, right? If you had
Right.
a car that was so old it didn't have seatbelts, you just couldn't have a,
It's
child.
exempt, right?
okay, okay. Okay. Yes,
Down under D, we changed where it says and keep it visible from the rear of the golf cart at all times, meaning the certificate or the sticker that we issue when they license the golf cart. We've had a few that stick in places where then they put a golf bag in and you can't see the sticker.
so the current one said lower left, or do you still want to leave it lower left, or do we need to change
I
that?
think that it should stay that way, otherwise we're gonna get them all over.
So all lower left then, okay, just making sure.
The fee, we changed that to be from $25 to be set by resolution. That way if you choose to change.
Then
it,
you don't have to change the
you can.
ordinance. Yeah.
So then until we have a resolution, there's no there's no fee?
No, there is a
There
fee
is
right
a
now.
fee.
It's just
It'll
that
stay
right
that
now
way
it's in the
until-
ordinance. We're taking out the ordinance and gonna set it by resolution. So,
Gotcha.
yeah, you're good.
And then, the fine, I mean, we left everything else, I think, the same. It was $100 fine for first offense, 200 for the second, and 300 for the third.
Questions?
What about the time?
We eliminated
Just,
the sunrise to sunset.
So it's just,
So
there's
basically, they
no
can operate
specific
whenever
timing when they have to be off the
got
road,
lights and
right?
taillights and brake lights, so.
as long as they have operating lights.
is this are golf carts becoming an ongoing issue, or is this preventative? Like we see this becoming an issue, so we're trying to get ahead of it? Or is this in response to having
It's
a
in
lot of golf
response to
carts?
requests,
Okay,
but ultimately, golf carts have stayed steady. We average, I don't know, 8 to 15 a year. Some years, like Ragbri years, it seems like we get more. Normal years, like I said, between 8 and 15 usually.
But I think by getting this updated, and then your officers, they will be stopping a lot of those that are illegally driving them. You've got a lot of
Well, and we've
kids.
stopped a few and they
There's a lot of
came, I
kids.
mean, I know the one I talked to was coming into, he's already got an appointment set up to get licensed, so. So, the side-by-side thing, I think, slowed the golf cart thing down because there for a while, it was definitely increasing. And then once the state legalized the side-by-sides, it kind of stalemated, maybe dwindled a little bit.
But this is one that we can't take action on until after the.
I would prefer not.
Well, yeah,
I just was
we just
wondering.
want,
Strongly
actually,
prefers.
we need to at least get your permission to have it ready
Well,
for a first reading, if you're okay with these updated changes.
I don't know if the red line version's in your packet or not. I was hoping it would get sent out to you all so you guys can look at it directly.
Did it get sent out to the council?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so look at it, and then if you're okay with it, we'll have it drawn up as a first reading in 2 weeks, and we have to have 2 to 3 readings anyway. So hopefully we'll get this ahead of it and it'll be ready to go. Okay.
Are kids with a permit able to drive these with their parent? You have to be 16 with your own license.
Have to be 16.
No school license, no learner's permit, no matter who's in there with you.
Well, that was dictated in here, just says 16
Okay.
with the valid license.
So, but because it says 16, then if the,
You got, yeah, a 14-year-old can't drive a permit.
I can see someone saying, I can drive a vehicle if my parent is with me.
Well,
So
that's
at
why-
14, can I drive this if it's a motorized vehicle? So I
That's
don't
why
know.
we put 16. It was 18.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if you got a 16-year-old golfing all the time down at the golf course, and he's got a valid license and his parents licensed the golf cart and went to all the trouble, I guess I don't see an issue with it. My perspective. Now, does that mean there's gonna be a 16-year-old out doing stupid stuff? I
Of course.
guarantee it.
That's valid though, I can see that.
I just see, like, if I want to make sure my 16-year-old is comfortable driving a golf cart by themselves by the time they're 16, I'd want time with them in the cart driving with me. Same thing we use
You
as a
want to have a
way to
change,
validate
add
getting a
that?
license.
14 with a legal adult.
Or maybe it's 15, I don't know.
That's why I
It's,
put it in
That's
the
why
red
it's
line
up here
version.
for you guys, so if you
right,
send it
just
to
saying, just
them.
because a kid gets a license at 16 doesn't mean they know
I'd
how to
rather
drive a
have
golf
a
cart.
14-year-old driving a golf cart than a
But you gotta teach them somehow.
4x4 pickup truck coming at me, just saying.
I'd prefer they had time with a parent in a golf cart before just saying, hey, you're 16, you know what you're doing. If they don't,
Right,
I don't know.
I would,
Send him a
Agree
message
with
if you want him to.
I'm sending him
Yeah.
one right now.
Well, I mean, what are your thoughts, Eric? That's just, I guess, from a parent standpoint and from a community standpoint, that's what I think, just from my
I
own
think they should
children,
really
but
learn how to drive a vehicle with their parent before they.
how do you learn if you're not, right? And then how does the parent know? If you're a responsible parent, you wanna see your kid operating a vehicle before you give them permission to do so, not just because they legally have the right to do it. And this forces the parent to have some kind of responsibility and,
So if the parent wants them to drive a golf cart though, when they turn 16, they can take them to the golf course and allow them to drive on the golf course, but and then there's no recourse.
That's right.
but you wouldn't have, see them operating on the road.
True.
I wanna know that my kid is doing the right,
Like I said, I don't care whatever you guys want to do. I mean, as long as I think we have to have some sort of standard there. If you want to
Sure.
do it as a, depends on how detailed you want to get, but you're gonna have to explain that it has to be with a valid driver, no different than a
Right.
construction permit for a vehicle.
I guess it just makes it more consistent with how we look at other motorized vehicles, right? If we validate it for one, why wouldn't it be valid for the other?
I agree
Just
with you on this.
consistency across policies, like it's
I-
hard
I'm
when
not
we can
arguing
choose.
that.
Yeah, no, I know,
Yeah.
I agree with it.
I'm just saying from a
Wasn't all I
policy
wanna do
standpoint,
when I
but if
was
there's a
here,
legal
wanted to do
or
my golf carts
law
on the road.
enforcement
I don't-
standpoint for doing it
So
different,
far, it's worked out well. We haven't had any major accidents, nothing like what I thought would have happened already.
Yeah,
So,
that's good.
They all make me nervous.
The adults make me nervous too. Like,
Okay, so we're gonna continue, go forward, you're gonna send any notes to Eric
Yeah.
that you think would change, and then we're gonna move on quickly, because we're running out of time. Skateboards, roller skate, and scooters.
Why would we?
so
This one?
Are you okay?
Yeah, state allows it.
Make it consistent with other motorized vehicles.
Oh, thank you. Yep.
So chapter 77 is
I'm
our
sending him
skateboard,
notes.
roller skate, scooter ordinance. Basically took the definition that Council Bluffs had for electric scooters and e-scooters and pasted it in there. So it's the red line version. The operation prohibited would be something I would definitely want your guys' input on. Currently, it blankets upon the streets of any sidewalks of any business district upon the following streets: Walnut Street, Vine Street, Sharp Street, Locust Street, Elm Street. Personally, I think Walnut and Vine ought to be from like Tyson to Second and Tyson to Second on both Walnut and Vine Street. That covers the business area clear down to the ball field. Otherwise, unless I'm missing something, I don't really know what the thought process was back when it was originally drafted to eliminate all the way up Walnut Street or all the way up Vine Street. I'm not sure. 4th Street and 3rd Street, I'm not real sure why they had that here. I guess I don't see why they wouldn't be able to ride on those streets. My thought was maybe it was because of the swimming pool and where it was at and being on the hill. I don't know.
4th Street, maybe to the middle school, like that being.
I think it was
I would
the
see
pool.
it.
I
I mean,
think this is so old. I think it was the pool activity.
And I don't know. That's
We're
why
just
I'm-
guessing,
Yeah.
but that's all.
I
we
guess
could
my
come
thought
up
is
with.
we could remove those, but that's, again,
Yeah.
this is all.
It's up to council, yeah.
So they can ride on the sidewalk anywhere except for what you just mentioned. Then they have to be in the street.
Well, there's a section for sidewalks specifically. Before we jump there though, on the other section of streets, they have the Glenwood Resource Center, or it actually says Glenwood State Hospital School. That's how, it hasn't been updated in some time. I eliminated basically all of that since it's gonna be under construction and that, unless you guys have a different feeling, or the GRC LLC wants to allow that, I guess I don't know what we want to do there.
What is the rule right now? Nobody's supposed to be up there. unless
Right,
they're-
it's really just for the school and
I think they
Glen
coordinated
Haven
off
and
a lot of the
it's gonna be
streets, but
blocked off because they're gonna start demolition anyway, so
Yeah.
it's for safety. It probably shouldn't anyway. Maybe down the road.
So you're recommending getting rid of calling out the street names?
at this time, I'd say yes, just because I guess my understanding is the majority of the property up there is currently owned by the LLC, so.
No, I mean for in town. Or are you adding to it more specific language?
I didn't.
Just
add-
the Walnut Street from Tyson to Second and Vine Street from
Just
Tyson
adding
to,
to it.
that's all they did on red line on that.
And then
And it just
recommended
took off the
eliminating
others.
4th and 3rd.
Yeah. And Independence Street, Indian Hills Drive.
I'm getting, why does it even say public parks? I'm clear back on operation prohibited. Skateboards, roller skates, and scooters are prohibited from public parks.
Well, and
It's
that's
got
a question mark there,
That's
because I was
Oh,
thinking the
what?
exact same thing.
Do you not? You see,
Yeah,
it's
it's on there.
Not on mine.
Yeah.
Oh, yours
I
is black and
wonder-
white.
Yeah,
Yeah, you didn't get the red one.
because I'm like, why is that in
Well,
there?
and the parks has we have another section for parks itself, so I don't know if it's under there. I haven't got that
Sorry,
far.
I
No,
don't know
you're
why
fine.
mine isn't showing.
That's okay.
Use on sidewalks, a person using a skateboard, roller skates, or scooter/e-scooter upon a sidewalk where such use is not prohibited, shall yield the right of way to pedestrians. So it's saying you can ride them on sidewalks as long as you're yielding to pedestrians. Traffic code applies, I just added e-scooter to Vine scooter, so there's no question there. Staying to the right, if you're on the roadway, stay to the inside right if you can. And again, all I did was add the e-scooter. Nighttime use, I added e-scooter, and then city at any time from sunset to sunrise without being equipped with a headlight and rear reflector. So my thought is if the they have a headlight and a rear reflector, we should probably allow them to ride them at night, but because if you had an e-scooter and decided you wanted to buzz downtown quick at 8:30 in the fall when it's dark out, I don't see an issue with that. As long as
Seeing
you
more
have a
adults on
headlight.
them too.
Right.
Yeah.
Just food for thought, and if you don't want it on there and when you know riding at night, then there's no riding at night. The only other thing I changed was the scheduled violations. I figured they ought to go up a little bit, but again, that's your guys' call.
And then can we also work on, and I know we're running out of time, but at another point in time, on how do we get this information out to children, right? Because it's one thing for us to put it here, but the kids are not, parents are not reading
Once
this.
we get
and
this
then-
done, I think we can utilize the schools to help push that out to.
Right, but in a
School
kid,
resource officer
right, but just-
for classes.
yeah, but I think that just giving this out to kids is not doing anything. Like, how do we, in a kid-friendly way,
You wanna
like
have a class
educate
or
them?
something like that?
Does the
some-
school resource officer
something.
get to go into all the classes? Can he go into all the classes and say?
Yeah, talk about it.
I think that, because we can change it here, but until it gets down to the people that are actually,
Well,
and then the parents don't know until they get the $25 fine, and then they go and they research what the kid did wrong. Like being proactive with how do we educate them on being safe on scooters but we can talk about.
And they can carry these and hand it to the first violation. Your take this home and have your parents read this.
First things first, we gotta make sure.
Yeah, you gotta make sure.
100%.
Solid that
But I agree, you gotta get it out to the kids.
And I can help work on a flyer, right, that would give them the
Perfect.
kid-friendly version of this, once
Absolutely.
we get
Thank
to this
you.
point.
Yeah, be great. Okay,
Eric will make a TikTok video.
we've got about 2 minutes left.
I will ask them to
Christina,
make a
we're not
TikTok
giving you much
video.
time on the comprehensive plan, so Christina's got the floor.
I'll give you the 30-second high view. So Glenwood has a comprehensive plan, right? We've got, I think are 5 things that are recognized in it as things that, at one point in time, the council had said, hey, these are our priorities. And we've been going through a lot of other kind of emergent things that we've been dealing with, but now kind of time to just dust off that comprehensive plan. Make sure that those are still our 5 top priorities, and then assigning that, right, to folks and saying like, let's get some action plans in place so that we're actually making steps going forward. If those are not still the same, because those were the 5 priorities that were point in time. If they're not, how do we pivot to different priorities? But getting some of those things assigned to council members so that we can start making some like action steps towards getting those things done.
Okay.
So if for next meeting, folks could just take a look at the comprehensive plan and just remind ourselves of what's in there.
Yep, and we'll have it back up here for discussion.
Yep.
And Eric, I missed parking zone ordinance. Did you want to address that quickly before we start? It's on there. Yeah.
It's up to you if you wanna wait. That's something we can wait until after July for
Okay,
sure.
okay, and we'll move on. Because we're 1 minute out, so it's up to you.
Yeah, we can wait.
All right. And it's 7 o'clock, so we are gonna call the meeting to order. If everyone would like to please stand. Say the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
You too.
Okay, I will ask clerk to take roll call, please.
Kate,
Here.
Smithers,
Here.
Duran,
Here,
McEwen, here, Lyons.
Here.
Thank you. And at this time, I'd like to ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda as printed.
So
Motion.
moved, Smithers?
Thank you. Second,
Duran,
any discussion? Roll call, please.
Lyons,
Yes.
Smithers,
Yes.
Kate,
Yes.
Duran,
yes?
McEwen. Yes.
Thank you. And at this time, we allow visitors to address council. If there's anyone that would like to address council, please come forward and state your name. We allow visitors for public comment. Come on up for up to 3 minutes. As per Iowa open meeting laws, council can only listen during the public comments and cannot take any action on items that are not posted on the agenda, but you can take issues under advisement and refer them to a department head, mayor's committee, or add them to a future agenda. So welcome, and please state your name.
I'm Ted Eli.
Okay.
And that's really all I'm here for, Mayor and council members, is to introduce myself. I've been causing trouble in the clerk's office because I'm so curious about the aquatic center, the pool issue.
Mhm.
And I've done a lot of study. So I just want to show up and let you know who I am.
Okay.
This little troublemaker. My wife Teresa and I moved here, it'll be 3 years in July. Teresa Lawler is her last name.
Oh, yeah.
Mine is Eli, E-L-Y.
Mhm.
She graduated, this dates are, sorry Teresa, 1980. We have a lot of family here.
Mhm.
We came here after retirement to help with our grandkids.
Mhm.
I don't know if you know Brad Ashe. He's a second grade teacher. And Brianne is our daughter. She's a nurse for adult and pediatric urology in Omaha. And Brody is 14. He doesn't need much now. He won't allow much now. Bryn is 9, and she still can use a little steering now and again. And of course, a number of those folks are pool rats, or I mean patrons. So that's part of my interest.
Right.
And so I just wanted to offer my time and efforts. I am no engineer. I was a social worker and truck driver.
Okay.
For 40 years, split 20 years each. And I would like to endorse the proposal that Mr. Kolf is putting forward, I think later in the agenda, to develop a committee.
Yes.
I think that's a smart way to proceed.
Thank you.
So,
It's nice to meet you. Thank you for your input.
And
so
they
far.
have your phone number and all that good
oh
information.
yeah.
Oh,
they
she's
have-
got your phone number. Okay.
And, yeah,
We never say no
Nancy
to a
and Mitch.
volunteer.
Heck, yeah. That's quite an interesting career you have. 20 years as a social worker and then totally switch gears and was like, I don't want to deal with people, so I'm going to do the next 20 in
I
the truck.
graduated from Iowa State and
Smart
I
man.
worked. Okay, the others are hawks. Anyway, they are Huskers. I drove part-time on weekends to help put myself through college for Fairway stores. And I must have caught a trucking bug. Because then I was an owner-operator, hauled cars up from Alaska, all the provinces, every state. I enjoyed it more than Teresa did, but anyway.
Well,
Very
thank
nice
you.
to meet you.
Okay.
Thank you guys.
I'm sure we'll be in touch. Thank you very
Okay.
much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, number 5 is Brandon Olson for the follow-up on the code enforcement letter for the trees. How are we addressing this? Come on up, Brandon.
Hey, Brandon.
Good evening.
So what's the next plan? There was-
Well, Matt and Jamie are the experts on
Right.
the ordinance, but from what I understand, the ordinance states there's certain types of trees that,
Okay, so you two want to speak of this and go forward.
I don't have it in front of me.
The tree ordinance?
Yes. Well, it states right here, prohibited trees no person shall plant in any street, any fruit-bearing tree, any tree of kinds commonly known as cottonwood, popular, box elder, Chinese elm, or evergreens. And yours are evergreens, right?
There are arborvitaes, which is classified under an evergreen zone. these specifics, I was hoping case by case situation that evergreen is kind of encompassing of all evergreen trees. And again, with the stated facts of the root systems and the trees and the placement of them in accordance with all the utilities and no sewer, no water line, no gas line intrusion or anything. Again, I understand that the term evergreen is in there and they fit under that umbrella. I was hoping case by case situation with all the factors of strategic placement and why they're there. I was hoping that would be good.
My problem with it was the part just above that where it says not planted between the sidewalk and the curb. Not necessarily that I agree with that either, but because it's in the ordinance. I know I just went through something, I had building something on my house and I had to change the plans to conform with the city ordinance.
You said that it's strict, oh, we can't ask questions, right?
It's on the agenda.
Yeah,
It's on
sorry.
there.
You said they're strategically placed. Is it, what's the, could you explain the purpose of those trees and what you mean by that?
Purpose, mainly for wind protection, for pedestrian protection from that main street right there. I'm across the street from pickleball courts.
Mhm.
So lots of traffic at that three-way stop. Well, it's not a three-way stop, but that one stop. Get a lot of turbulence and sandblasting from the concrete factory right there on high wind days. And again, just the strategic aspect of 120-year-old tree. And I'm not exactly sure what kind of tree it is, but there's also a dogwood and a number of other trees that are in line on that parking area. And I understand that those have probably been there since before the ordinance may have changed. And Chief Gray has detailed to me that with a lot of those trees and because of utilities, they're grandfathered in for now, but if they need to come down, well, we can't do anything about that. They gotta come. Again, reading over the ordinance and comprehending it and what it does detail, I was hoping that the factoring of the strategic placement and the use of those trees may make an exception. I'm not sure if that's something that is allowable for the council in ordinance, but again, just with those trees and where they're placed, I know that pedestrians and myself, the curb appeal factor and the value of plants is,
Tell me again how many you planted?
there is a total of 6 of them. I told you
6.
5 last time, there's 6.
Okay, there is a total of 6. I have
But
a
again,
question. Can you move them behind? Is there any rules on where you plant them on the
I
other
thought
side?
that was what we discussed, was being able to
They need to
move
be
them.
moved on the other side of the sidewalk.
The other side, is there a guideline of how far from the sidewalk to where you could plant them? Nothing, no rules on that?
Inside of that property line of his. Problem was, Glenwood Municipal Utilities is the one that alerted me to it because they're directly above their water and sewer mains is what they
Right.
sent me in the email.
Right.
So that's where that came from.
Right.
The other thing is we have a lot of trees now that we're going around and taking out that are in the right of way because nobody is maintaining them.
Mhm.
So we have those.
Technically, the trees between the sidewalk and the back of curb are property owner's responsibility,
Mhm.
and nobody trims them. And when we have to go out and trim them, we'll spend 4 or 5 months just trimming trees. And the property owner comes out and complains about it, because it's their tree, but they won't trim it. But then as soon as it dies, they're calling us, because now it's our tree. So,
I'll just say this, it's unfortunate. Like, I get where you're at and I can't, but I can't move off of it. It's just one of those, the ordinance is there and unfortunately you start making exceptions and we just open ourselves up to everybody that's done something. I wish, and I know that.
Situation and, excuse me, continue.
No, I know that I wish, and I know that you wish you would have called first, because I hate what this means for you.
I've driven by and I kind of like the looks of them. And I think the look is nice on the other side of the sidewalk too, so I know it's a pain to have to move them, but because I kind of like the looks of them.
It's a green protective wall of a hedge that they would create in the near future. Can be moved to the other side of the fence, but that eliminates the protective factor from that main street for my pedestrians that come in numbers day by day, that walk up and down that side of the street, which is perfectly fine. And again, I try my best not to generalize, and again, case by case situation. Homeowners or renters, I planted them. It is my responsibility to ensure that where they were at, well, let me not open the can of worms, because I did plant them before calling 811, but I would ensure that the maintenance of them, the trimming of them, the care of them, and if I have to take them out and hopefully salvage them, I can do so, and I will still maintain them, but again, I was really hoping case by case situation.
Sorry, yeah, I'm really sorry.
And the thing is, if we were to say, okay, you sell the house in 5 years, that the new owner may not have that same level of responsibility that you have, and as the
Fully
city.
comprehend, so with those trees specifically, with their, the branching out, with the size, with the grouping, they would stay within the parameters of, I think it's 18 feet from sidewalk to street. But again, just a whole lot of what ifs.
Yeah,
in there.
sorry, we're really sorry, but I don't think they're making it.
So they have to be moved.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Brandon.
Thank you.
Okay, committee reports. Park and Recs, Ron.
That runs for the department.
This is committee
Oh,
reports.
sorry, I said wrong.
We don't have anything
We're not
for
doing
Parks and
committee.
Rec.
There isn't anything for committee report. You were not there. Public Works, scratch, admin.
Just a
We're going to just add, you guys confused me by the way you changed this, so scratching all that off. Admin is all we have. So who wants to speak of that?
Before you go on, one thing we didn't touch in there was the website review.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to go over that.
Oh, under the codification, yeah.
Well, I was planning on just making a new website and then showing it to you when it was made then.
Okay.
I can show it to you.
Is it out there live right now?
No.
For the public?
Mm-hmm. Maybe.
Good night, Brandon.
It was there.
While he's pulling it up, does anybody want to, who's the,
Me, I can.
okay, you want to go ahead and just
Sure.
do a summary so we can move
Yeah,
forward?
so, as part of the admin report, our section, we talked about changes to a couple of ordinances, such as food trucks, golf carts, scooters. And we'll be working over the next couple of weeks at taking a look at those ordinances and seeing what needs to be changed. While also noting that we're going through the codification.
Either way. it's okay.
Codification.
Either way.
Yeah.
Process, and so trying to minimize the amount of things that we are changing until we get that complete. And then lastly, council will be looking at the comprehensive plan over the next couple of weeks and starting to dig into some of the details of those and get some action steps in place.
Very good. Short, sweet, short and sweet. Very good, thank you. Okay, you ready?
I think so.
Yes. So we've had a training with the MuniBit consultant, and he put our website over into there. template. There's still a lot of changes we can make if we get new photos and things, which I was hoping to in the future reach out and see if there's any citizens who have high quality photos of this, of the city of Glenwood that they would want on the website, just to have on. They'd be willing to send them to the city. But this is what he's done with our website here. It'll look like this without these boxes over here. This is just how we see it when we go in and edit it. But you see here, we can have, we've got our banner and then the main buttons here, and then city news. And then we've got the government drop down with information on the mayor and the city council.
Have you done your headshots yet?
Get your pictures
Reminder,
taken.
reminder.
I just had some taken for work. Can I just send them to you?
You bet.
And information on the city boards, the minutes, and the meetings, agendas and minutes are all in one place here. And they're a lot easier for the staff to load in and update.
I don't know, I struggled with this last time.
Yeah, they're easy for me.
Yeah, he's like, I don't know if that's true.
Supposedly.
Nancy said it was fine.
I had to have Nancy do it.
Information on the permits. We've got our ordinances here. Our city code book, we can change that to say code book. Is it there? All in one spot. Then we've got our information on departments. Not clicking that. So it's all the same information, but it
Just
is a
easier
lot
to maneuver.
easier to
Yeah.
update and manipulate. You change something in one spot, it'll change the information. If it's like if you change the contact information, if it's on multiple pages, it's gonna automatically change it every
Oh, that's
spot
nice.
instead of us having to go. I know when I started, there was a few spots where Amber's name was still on there. Joe had tried to change it, but
Yeah,
how the other website was built, it was, you have to go in and you have to change
every one of them.
instance. So this is just gonna be a lot easier, and I've already asked him a couple questions on how do I do something, and he'll respond back or show me how to do it.
Good.
So it's already better service than we had before, which was no service. So it's a lot more helpful. And I know the police department's going to take a picture with their drone for me sometime
Oh, nice.
to update this banner, so. Yeah, I think it'll be nice, and he's also gonna help us. We've gotten the .gov approved by the federal government, so he's gonna help us do everything we need to do to get our website address changed to the .gov address. So he's gonna help with that too, which will be very helpful because there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff with the servers and the hosting that you have to do to get that switched over, which will be helpful. So, yep.
Okay.
And once it goes live too, I'll ask you all to go in and click around and let me know if you want information added or changed.
So when the new codification gets updated, will they be able just to upload that quickly? I mean, it's gonna be a one-step thing
Yeah,
to do all of those
yeah.
once we get that done. Okay.
And when do you anticipate this going live?
Just depends on when I have time to meet with him. Hopefully in
25.
in June. Hopefully sometime in June.
Okay, very good. All right. Anything else? Any other questions? Eagle Engineering, we have a Chestnut Street Drainage Project application for pay. Do you need to speak about it, Mitch, or can I just go for a motion, or you want?
If you have questions, I can speak. about it.
Okay. It's for the United Utilities and Excavation in the amount of $72,334.90. Ask for a motion
So moved, Lines.
in a second.
Kate's,
Any questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Duran,
Yes?
McEwen,
Yes.
Smithers,
Yes.
Kate,
Yes.
Lyons.
Yes.
Okay, Black Hills Energy.
Yes, so this is, Black Hills Energy contacted us a month or two ago, and our franchise, is about to be up after 25 years, and so we need to renew that. We did the first reading of the ordinance at the last meeting, and then we published the notice of public hearing in the paper on the 21st. And so now we've got the public hearing that we need to hold.
Okay, so at this time at 7:21 PM, I'm going to open the public hearing on the proposed ordinance renewal. Have you received any written comments?
No written comments, but I know there's a Black Hills Energy representative that said he was.
Would that be you, Standy? Come on up. Please do. Could you state your name, please?
Gary Hogan.
Gary.
I'm Senior Gas Operations Manager for Western Iowa.
Thank you, Gary.
Gary, what was your last name?
Hogan, Hogan.
All right. You got the
Just looking forward to getting the franchise renewed to be able to serve the 2,200 plus customers of the community of Glenwood for the next 25 years.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the audience that wants to make a comment, public comment? I don't think so. Okay. Well, if there's no questions. Gary, nobody? Then at 7:22, I'm going to close the public hearing. So at this time, the public hearing is closed, and I will ask for a motion to approve the second reading of the proposed ordinance.
So moved, Smithers?
And is there a second?
McEwen?
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Lyons,
Yes.
Kate,
Yes.
Smithers,
Yes.
Duran,
Yes?
McEwen.
Yes.
Okay, at this time, I'm asking for a motion to waive the third reading of the proposed ordinance. Is there a motion?
So moved. Kate's.
A second.
Smithers?
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Duran,
Yes?
Kate,
Yes.
Smithers,
Yes.
Lyons,
Yes.
McEwen.
Yes.
Okay, so now we will vote on ordinance 935, an ordinance granting Black Hills Iowa Gas Utility Company LLC, doing business as Black Hills Energy, a Delaware corporation, its lessees, successors, and assigns, a natural gas franchise and the authority to construct, operate, maintain, and extend a natural gas distribution plant and system, and granting the right to use the streets, alleys, and other public places within the present or future corporate limits of the city of Glenwood. So is there a motion to approve ordinance 935? Did I say that right?
So moved. Kate's.
Second,
McEwen?
any further discussion? Roll call, please.
McEwen,
Yes.
Smithers,
Yes.
Lyons,
Yes.
Duran,
Yes?
Kate.
Yes.
Okay, so motion carries. And now we need to approve resolution 3718, dispensing of the spatial election requirement. Anybody speak on that? Just
Yeah, so, with regular ordinances, there's not special elections required, but the Iowa code has stipulation for franchises that, there's a special election requirement, but city councils can vote to not hold that election, which is pretty common for, renewing the franchises like this. And
Okay.
the city attorney reviewed all the documents that Black Hills sent us and said they're okay.
So looking for a motion?
Make a motion to approve resolution 3718?
Second.
Lyons?
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Kate,
Yes.
McEwen,
Yes.
Smithers,
Yes.
Lyons,
Yes.
Duran.
Yes?
We're all set, Gary. Thank you for
Thank
coming.
you.
Yep, very good.
Have a great night.
Now we're ready for departmental reports. I don't see Tara here, so anybody speaking on
No, I think it's just wrong.
just Ron tonight, so no cemetery. Okay, Ron, come on up.
We have a cottonwood tree that's pretty much half dead, and it's in the parking lot, one of the parking lots of, 1A's, ball fields. That's where people park. Now there's a new bridge that goes across. It's in the old horseshoe pit area. I don't know if any of you guys knew where the old horseshoe pit was, but, and it keeps dropping limbs left and right. We also have a big brush pile. That's where, from the last little tornado thing that went through, we've been piling up brush. We got a bid to take that tree down and the brush pile removal. And they range from 5,000 for the tree removal and the brush removal.
Together, a lump sum?
That's one lump sum for Canesville. We do have some that are separated. Miners Tree Service for the hauling off, the cutting down of the tree and the grinding of the stumps. They're at 7,000. And then JM's Tree Service gave us a quote of 6,000 for the tree removal and the brush removal. I would recommend going with Canesville. They're very reputable. They're out of Council Bluffs. He has a lot of trucks and a lot of people. It would not take him very long to do it and get rid of all that brush for us. He is one of the cheapest, or he is the cheapest one also.
So that would be 5,000 for the tree
$5,000.
and the brush
And the
removal.
brush removal, correct.
No stump grinding with that one?
No stuff.
Do you need that done?
I'll talk about that here in just a second.
So you're looking for two motions then right now?
Uh,
The first one is
The
for
first one
Gainesville.
is the tree and brush removal.
And this is in your budget?
Yeah, oh yeah, we've got money in there for that.
Okay, so it's in the budget, okay. Questions?
Does the other include money spent for stump grinding?
For stump grinding, correct, yes.
Would it be cheaper to have it all inclusive in one bid?
You could, and I was gonna talk about that. With the Miners Tree Service, he put it in the bid, and that's for 7,000. That's just for the one stump ground.
Okay.
I'm going to talk, I've got about 20 stumps that need to be ground.
Oh, gotcha.
So
Okay,
I'm
so
gonna
way
talk
more
about
than
that
just
next.
that. Okay, gotcha, sorry.
So does anybody want to make a motion for the first request with Canesville for 5,000?
So moved, McEwen?
There's a second.
Duran?
Okay, any discussions? Roll call, please.
Kate,
Yes.
McEwen,
Yes.
Lyons,
Yes.
Duran,
Yes.
Smithers.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay, so now on the second, like I said, I've got about 20 stumps all around the rec center and the park that need to be ground down. The board wanted me, I tried to get people to come down and bid all of them. I just didn't have the time to get it done. The board asked me, to ask you if we could get those ground and not spend any more than $5,000 to get hold of those stumps ground down.
Didn't we just buy a stump grinder somewhere?
That's
For
what
the
me and Lori
cemetery,
said. The
that's what I
cemetery
just
had
said.
one.
Can
Like-
we,
What,
Do you
I
guys-
don't even know what that is. I've never seen it, so I'm not sure how big it is or what.
Well, he was, how many trees did he have that
Yeah,
he was
30.
using that
Yeah.
on?
and he had the massive trees up there.
Right.
They're huge that he's been grinding down.
maybe you need to
So
go
we
talk to
could
Mike.
table this and we could talk to Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can talk to Mike about that.
Yeah.
I don't even know what it goes on, a tractor, a skid loader.
Yeah,
I think it's a tractor.
Tractor that, yeah.
Is it you guys' tractor or it is?
His
It
It is.
Okay. Yeah, we can table that.
Okay, we'll
Okay.
table that and come back to us in 2 weeks.
Okay.
We might be able to
Now-
save you some money.
In 2 weeks, we are gonna have the user agreements. We didn't get it on this week.
Okay.
So plan on being here in a couple weeks to talk about that,
Okay.
because the community, some will be here, some may not.
All right.
So just plan on that.
I'll talk to you later
Okay.
about it.
Okay,
Thanks, Ron.
Thank you.
Okay. Jamie,
I went out and got from Badger Body Truck and Equipment, bids for a new Tommy liftgate for our new pickup. We did come in $20,000 cheaper on the pickup than what I had budgeted, so there is money there. The first one was for a steel Tommy liftgate for $5,398.
say that again.
$5,398.
Thank you.
And that is for a steel one that is installed. The second one is a aluminum lift gate. And that come in at $6,379. I would like a motion to purchase the steel lift gate for $5,398.
Looking for a motion?
So moved. Kate's.
Kate, a second? Is there a second?
Duran?
Okay, any questions or comments?
I had a question,
Yes,
Jamie,
Lori.
just because I'm stupid. Tell me the difference between steel and aluminum. I expected you to say I want the aluminum.
Your steel one, I think, is gonna be stronger. Your aluminum ones are lighter,
Yeah.
which we have a steel one now on the back of our old truck, and we've never had any problems with it.
Okay.
Breaking, cracking.
Well, and that's, I was like, is there something more? Because I was just thinking aluminum's gotta be lighter. Wouldn't that be
It's
easier
lighter,
to?
but
For the work it does, it still would hold up better
Heavy
over time.
duty?
Yeah.
it will
Okay.
actually make the 3/4 ton truck ride a little better.
Okay.
A little more weight back there.
Not that I just was like, I fully expected a different answer. I'll make a motion to approve the
We've
purchase.
got the motion.
Oh, we do,
Sorry.
never
Yeah,
mind.
sorry.
I'm not making any
You
motions.
can vote on it, though. We're gonna go for roll call. Roll call, please. Start with Lori.
Shoot, I wanted.
Yes.
Smithers,
Yes.
Kate,
Yes.
Duran,
Yes.
Lyons.
Yes.
I was gonna ask the question before the motion, but it
I know, we got
That's why I got
started. I know,
confused.
well, I get confused too on
I'm
these.
easily confused.
No worries. Okay, anything else?
We also had a sidewalk permit come in this week. So I'd like a motion to approve sidewalk permit number 24216, reimbursement to Todd Bowdry in the amount of $236.45.
And you've inspected it?
Yes.
Okay, so.
He actually, what it was right on his property line between the back of the curb and the sidewalk, there's a big tree there that the roots they pushed up the sidewalk. So we-
Nice of him to fix it. Okay, motion please.
So moved, Lyons.
Second,
Smithers?
any further discussion? Roll call.
Lyons,
Yes.
McEwen,
Yes.
Smithers,
Yes.
Duran,
Yes.
Kate.
Yes.
Thank you.
And
Jamie, anything else for you?
just to let you know, we started our summer hours today,
And they are
6 AM to 2:30.
6 AM to 2:30. And you have a new employee?
Yes,
How's that going?
very well.
When did he start? I forget. The 19th? Good.
How long do your summer hours go till Labor Day?
Till Labor Day.
Okay, good. Okay, I guess now we go to Eric.
So, having here a motion to approve the driver safety program policy. Policy's pretty simplistic. Basically stating we're gonna have one, puts a lot of stuff on the instructor to require the lesson plan and whatnot for that program, which I brought up previous. And then the main thing in combination with the policy would be the resolution setting the fee for the program itself. So people will know how much the class is gonna cost if
What's
they
that
choose
cost?
to do it.
Okay. Is there a motion?
So moved, Lyons.
Do we have a second?
Duran?
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Lyons,
Yes.
Smithers,
Yes.
Duran,
Yes.
McEwen,
Yes.
Kate.
Yes.
Okay, then I'm gonna ask for the motion for the resolution 3719, setting the fee for the driver safety program.
So moved, McEwen?
Thank you. Is there a second?
Smithers?
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Smithers,
Yes.
Lyons,
Yes.
Kate,
Yes.
McEwen,
Yes.
Duran.
Yes.
Anything else?
What fee did we go with?
What's that?
It was $100 that
I
was
know
on
I
there.
recommended 100, I just want to make sure.
Oh, I went with whatever you put on there. That's,
I went with 100, was what
100
was in my
was good.
head.
Okay,
$400.
All right, just confirming.
We'll add that to the
Oh,
motion.
okay.
Add that to the motion, $100, if you can.
the resolution says $100, yeah.
and then I got in here a follow-up discussion on ordinance drafts. The only other thing we didn't touch on was I drafted no parking ordinance for Lynn Court on the south side of the street, which Jamie and I talked about, and then Maplewood Circle on the east side of the street, I believe. Again, I don't have the ordinance in front of me that I drafted, so. And then I put it on there for no parking on the north side of the street for Sixth Street, as you had requested between Walnut and Locust.
Yes, I was gonna ask you about that.
If you guys are okay, I guess I'd like to give notice to the folks that live on all those streets, so that way if they have some sort of input, they can come.
What was the 6th and Walnut one?
No,
Right there.
basically making no parking on the street
Oh, at all?
at all.
At one time, we talked about just moving that sign up because it creates right where it's at. You get the cars here and then you can't turn. So we talked about even just moving it.
Which I think we can, if I make everybody on the street aware, and if they come down and voice their concerns, we can make adjustments accordingly if we need to.
Can we do that so we don't make them mad right away? Like, can we just like move the sign back to where they can't park so far from the stop sign to?
But we still have to change the ordinance.
We still have to change it.
So,
And notify them.
They can still park on the south side?
No,
So
they're saying
there'll be no parking at all on the
There's
street.
No parking on that. Why am I drawing a blank on Maplewood Circle? That's like.
It's the new addition up there,
Up
Off of Sixth Street.
Sixth Street.
Behind us.
Thank you. I'm like, what? I'm with
Yeah,
you.
okay.
So move forward
And
then.
a lot of that's due to emergency vehicle, not necessarily
And
police
snow
cars,
plowing,
but
right?
snow plows and fire trucks have problems
They
because we
can't
get
get
people
around.
parking on both sides of the street. And there's not enough room to get through there.
They're not very wide.
So,
Okay.
Speaking of up there, Jamie, help me. I know we've talked about it, that manhole that's right there on, what is that? Is that Valley?
I know what you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about?
Exactly.
Birch comes this way and then you turn left. There's this manhole that's got this massive, like, I know
Going up
we've,
to that new circle park.
right, that's what
Yeah,
the
right there
Maplewood
at
Circle.
Burt's, Yes,
What is,
it's on my list to redo this
okay,
summer.
I'm like, I
This
know
summer
we've,
or next summer?
This
This,
summer.
oh, this summer.
yeah, that's a,
Okay.
Like going up to your mom's.
yes, like if you go up
Yeah.
that and that
Yeah.
just is a,
I don't know what's happened there, I don't know.
You wouldn't think the manhole would heave,
thank
but
you.
it doesn't look like the street sunk
The street has,
a little bit.
yeah.
Oh,
Thank you, I couldn't come up with a word. I was like, what is that that's done? That's what it is.
anything else?
otherwise I have nothing further.
Okay, thank you, Eric. Mr. Gray.
I'm gonna go ahead and let Brad go first. He's
Come on
gonna
up,
talk
Brad.
About hydrant parties.
Oh,
Yay. Great idea.
Calendar out.
Some of the side of the pool.
He'll be much appreciated this year. Oh, you've got it. Okay. There you go.
There's quite a few. This is nice.
So what we're doing this year is we're gonna do every Sunday in the month of June and the first Sunday in the month of July. Some of the locations are the same, some of them are different. They will all be from 11 to 1 on Sundays. First one will be Green and South Grove. It'll actually be on Grove Street itself, right there at the intersection. The next one will be Maplewood Circle. Last year, it worked out pretty good if we did it towards the end of the circle. The next one would be Glenwood Lake Park, right there at the entrance. Right as you come in the entrance, you round to the right, there's a hydrant right there. We'll do it right there in the grass. We'll do Crossway and Timber Lane. It will actually be on Timber Lane.
Old or new timber?
New Timber
New
Lane.
timber lane,
So
okay.
right as you go down the hill of Crossway,
Crossway.
right as you turn right to right onto Timber Lane, there's a hydrant right there. We'll
Okay.
block off right there. And then on the back side, if I remember correctly from last year, we block one driveway. And again, they didn't care because they had grandkids that came and played in it. We also let everybody know that it affects the night prior. If we can't get it out the night prior, for sure, the morning of, before we do it, we try to make sure we do it the night prior though.
Mhm,
We'll just put a flyer like that on their door
mhm.
or speak to them in person. We'll also put something on there along the lines of be in your area, doing a hydrant party. Just like last year, just like every year, if for some reason somebody needs to come into their driveway that we're in front of or blocking of any which way, we will move all the kids off to the grass, move all the equipment off to the grass, let them in, and then resume the hydrant party.
Is it the house just coming down this?
Just come down on the right-hand side.
On
If I
the,
remember
so it's on the
correctly-
right-hand side, okay.
Yes. If I remember correctly, we don't block a driveway, but
Okay,
I'm trying to remember it in my head and I
Okay.
can't 100% remember.
okay, good
The
enough.
next one would be 502 North Myrtle. That is an empty lot that is owned by Jim Hughes. I have spoke to Jim Hughes. Jim himself did approve that. The next one is Northeast Elementary. It'll be across from 802 North Vine. So right across from 802 North Vine is the hydrant. We will actually go, if you're looking at the playground and the fence, we'll actually go to the right of the fence. There is a big grass area to the right of the fence before the next property owner's property. And it'll just be right there. So it'll be off the roadway, and the school has approved that one. So I did get approval from all the department heads and all of the affected property owners. Jim Hughes, the school, Jamie, Eric, Matt, the water department, and the parks. So ultimately, I'm just kind of letting you guys know.
Get in your blessing. Is everybody okay with this?
Yes.
With the
Do any of
county?
these have hills?
What's up?
Any of these have hills for slip and slides?
So none of them big enough for slip and slide. The one at the school has a little bit of a hill, but not enough for a slip and slide. We were going to do the one at the school at Vine and, what is that, 10th Street up there? But that hill was too big. We were afraid that they would slide into the fence and next thing you know, I'd be
More
on
than
the
a slip and
ambulance for it.
slide.
So I'd be causing more problems than I would be
There you go.
fun. So
Yeah,
we did move it, like I said, across from 802 North Vine.
very good.
Again, all these locations that we picked affects none to maybe one driveway. Anybody that is affected in the area though, like I said, will get notified the night before with a flyer or something on their door. We try to make sure we talk to everybody person to person, but we don't always get everybody, so occasionally we will just leave a flyer on their door. On that flyer, it does state what we're doing, it does state that we'll be in the area. It also does state a point of contact, which is myself. So if they have any questions or concerns, they can reach me.
I'm wondering though, the house is directly affected maybe before do the day before, but maybe a week ahead to give them a heads up too,
I can do that.
possibly just in case they have something planned.
Yep, I can do that.
Okay,
And then we will put this out on Facebook and I will see if I can't get,
Thank you.
a copy to the city, maybe we can get it on the city page or something.
Oh, yeah. I'd be
Get
happy.
the word out as much as we can since we
Yes.
don't have a.
Since we don't have a
Like I
pool.
Yeah.
Because I know you want to do more of them, like, have you thought about going further into July, or is that just not possible? Only asking because of our current situation.
I will, let Matt discuss on that one more.
Depending on how many people wanna give up their weekends and, you know.
That's a lot of
That's
weekends.
fair.
Volumes and stuff too.
Yeah.
So like,
Totally.
right now, the ones that are, on the agenda, or on the paper, all of those, myself and my wife have dedicated our weekends or our Sundays to that. The problem we have as the two of us, shortly after the 6th, we start getting into county fair. Then shortly after that, we start getting into state fair.
Mhm.
And so
And
it's,
vacations and.
and so it's kind of hard for me to start dedicating
Yep.
every
No,
Sunday
we
after that. So these ones I for sure, like I said,
Yeah.
Thank
myself and my wife have dedicated the Sundays to this, but, the rest of them, we're trying to work on it, but we don't have anything yet, so.
That's fine, and I appreciate all of that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you very much.
Yep, no problem.
Yeah.
Tell your wife thank you. too.
Yes.
Yeah,
We
kudos
need
to
more
your
stuff like
wife.
this in the community for the kids. This is awesome.
Since last, council meeting, we had 69 calls for service. I gave you guys all the call runouts that we had during that time. Also, since last council meeting, I have attended, the last 2 board of supervisor meetings for the vote for the EMS essential. It was voted in, the first reading, the second reading, third reading will be next week. So, they've all so far passed. Some people have some questions, which they answered. We're waiting to hear how they're going to set up the board that oversees the EMS essentials. They had one set before, but I don't know, they're kind of keeping everybody in the dark on who's gonna be on that board. So we're still waiting to hear on that part. Also, the new ambulance is in.
Oh, yay.
It's, hopefully have this radio installed between tomorrow afternoon and, it's Thursday, but should be hopefully the radio should be done by Thursday.
Good.
And Saturday, Joe will come down and put the emblems on them, for the Glenwood fire emblems on the ambulance. And then the one thing that we're waiting for after that, but it will go in service probably Saturday after Joe gets done, or probably Monday, depending on how everything goes. And then the only other thing that needs to be installed in it will be the cradle point and the computer monitor. The base we had in the old squad did not work, so we had to order a new one. And the new squad, once the radio is taken out of it, we'll get it cleaned up, and then we'll be start to process to start getting it sold. If anybody wants to see it, I can have somebody run it up here tonight, so you can take a look at it, or you can stop down anytime and take a look at it, your choice.
That's awesome.
It is a
That is.
very nice looking ambulance, it's gonna serve the community very well.
Thank you. That's exciting.
Also, since last council meeting, P and Z meeting, Mitch came in and introduced himself and talked about the urban development. So I will be getting the planning and zoning board to provide a letter to the city in favor of that. Also, I've got a couple of board of adjustment stuff that we'll be doing here in the next couple of weeks for some variances, conditional use permit. And also code enforcement. I've got several properties that I've sent letters to for lawn nuisances, and a couple for dangerous buildings and some other things that I'm working on.
Great.
We've got a couple of them that were just picked up. One of them was picked up by basically a property maintenance company. The house is in foreclosure, so I'm working on getting in contact with them to make sure that it is kept clean and mowed during the process that they have what's going on.
Anything on White Oak?
White Oak, I'll
Just
reach
thought I
out
mentioned.
tomorrow again and see what I can find out.
Okay.
from them.
Okay.
The problem is the company that owns it, they're in Rhode Island. So you have to send a letter out to Rhode Island. The other guy that they lease it, doesn't like to give a whole lot of information, and they're supposed to be located up in Omaha. I've got a couple of phone numbers that I have to, see if I can get a hold of the next person down the line and see what's going on with it.
Yeah,
Um,
I'd like to have
Dollar
something.
General
mention
parking
I
lot,
see.
like I said, that was, we should be coming up close to about the 3-week mark for them to start repairing that.
It's coming up.
Keep it on hand too, so.
Thank you.
And the Robinson building, did we ever get clearance?
Robertson Building, the side that's tuck pointed is good. The interior of the building, he has several things that he needs to do before that can be basically inhibited according to what was given to us of the, basically the engineer report.
Engineer, he did get the engineer.
Basically, there's some stuff that has to be done with the flooring and some stuff in there for that building to be, actually have somebody inside that building.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, Mitch, you're up.
Okay, I've got, first thing, I need a motion to approve a letter of engagement from Ehlers and Cooney, and I spelled it wrong on the agenda, my bad. So the purpose of this letter of engagement is to disclose and memorialize the terms and conditions under which Ehlers and Cooney will represent the city of Glenwood, Iowa, acting by and through its city council in connection with a construction dispute related to the city pool. And this engagement will involve advising the city in connection with contracts associated with the pool, representing the city in any litigation related to the dispute concerning the contracts, and providing the necessary related legal services upon request of the city. And they lay out their fees there. There's no way to know what the total cost would be. They're a very reputable firm. They're one of the biggest municipal government lawyers in the state. And they've got lawyers who specialize in construction litigation, and they come recommended, and we'll be paying for it out of pool funds, the local option sales tax, and hopefully we won't be paying for it if they do their job.
Mitch, do you know if they have, pool experience explicitly?
They have construction litigation experience going up against contractors who have not done what they've specified they would do in their agreements with cities.
Okay.
I don't know if they've done it on pools, but we'll have the report from Burbach.
Sure.
So moved, Smithers.
Second,
Kate's,
any further discussion? Roll call, please.
McEwen,
Yes.
Kate,
yes.
Lyons,
Yes.
Duran,
Yes?
Smithers. Yes.
Motion carries for the letter of engagement with Ehlers and Cooney.
Okay, great. The next thing we have, the mayor and I, we're wanting to propose to the council setting up a pool committee and giving the mayor authority to appoint community members to that committee, just to advise and review any plans or present any ideas to the council. We were thinking some people with construction experience or engineering experience, or interested, dedicated citizens, a wide variety of people that the mayor could choose
We've
from.
actually had some come to us offering to be on a committee, so.
Yeah, we've had a few people. So we thought it'd be good to have some community involvement with the pool, just to be able to meet with Jake and review any of the proposals or ideas for opening up the pool or that type of thing, just to give you more information to help you make a decision and to get more community involvement in something that lots of people have expressed interest in.
So how does council feel about that?
Yeah. How many people you think, like, what would the number be limited to on the?
We didn't have a limit. because we didn't know how many people, we didn't want to set a certain number and
Mhm.
I don't want it huge,
Right, but I think
Because
that you
you-
have to set a number,
but
right?
a variety, maybe 5 to 7 if we need to. I hadn't really thought about an official number.
yeah, and they wouldn't have any decision-making authority.
It's just
It would
input.
just be advisory in nature, sort of an advisory board, really.
So this is a question, and you maybe just were saying it as a throwing names out there. Like, what would the purpose of Jake being on it?
Well, he wouldn't be on it, but he's,
Oh, I was like, cause are we
he's not
gonna
on it,
pay
he's
him
just,
to be?
No.
you know, but they would be reviewing information that he's
Information he has out, yeah.
he's going through along with you all, to give you comments and things like that. Other things to think about, or maybe ask Jake, so there's, you know,
Cause
more people with construction experience, I guess, asking Jake those questions, or have you thought of this, or could we do, you know, just to get more feedback and more ideas out there, I guess.
and are we limiting it to just
We never.
Mills County residents, or are we opening it up if there's somebody in
If there's some,
Bellevue that says, let me come be,
if there's a pool expert in Bellevue and wants to come give us, you know, just ideas and suggestions, we're all open for that. They
Yeah, I don't
might
think we have
meet
any
once,
sort
they
of,
might meet once a month, we don't know.
restrictions, yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to get together. If we just wanted your
Yeah, we just want
blessing to at least start forming it, and then we'll keep you posted on.
to meet with, yeah, this board,
Yeah.
to see, start getting ideas that we could throw out to Jake, or,
Because they might come up with ideas that obviously I won't have thought of them, but
yeah.
You can't really do anything until you're done with the legal part of it.
Yeah, that's something
People
that
will
we'll,
start working on it.
right.
yeah, that's something too that we'll get from Jake, but
Mhm.
we would want to, and some of them, some people that have approached us have got expertise that might help with, the legal case.
If there's an architecture guy that's,
Very con-
Who's gonna have oversight over the committee? Is that you?
Mitch and I will,
yeah,
I like the idea of the committee. I guess my two things that I want to hear more about are how many people would be on it, because I think if
Okay.
it gets too big, and then the bigger the group, the less
effective you are.
you're
I
able to
couldn't
get things
agree
done.
more.
And then also the word qualified, appoint qualified community members, like, well, I think we have to define what that is.
Okay.
Because someone that doesn't necessarily have experience doesn't mean that they don't have good ideas on how to move
And we can
forward.
come back with we'll meet and come up
Yeah.
with some
Yep.
plans for
That
you,
would
and
be
you can
mine.
guys review it and see what you think. And we want your input.
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah.
We
and
don't
it
necessarily
probably,
need to approve it today, just sort of wanted to have a discussion.
I
see
think
what
it's
you
worth
thought.
exploring for
Yeah.
sure.
And well, and we didn't create this thought. It came to us. We had a couple of people come and suggest we might want to think about doing this.
Well,
That was a good idea.
I don't know how you, I mean, I guess we're gonna risk no matter what, but even if you held a public meeting, like
Anybody.
we are inviting you not to come tell us what we already know is wrong, but to come to us with ideas and suggestions and solutions.
Yeah, maybe open it up.
Just, and then maybe after doing something like that, and we're looking at a committee, if you wanna be part of a committee, right, because there's a lot of people that will come and say, yeah, I wanna tell you what I think, but I don't wanna be, I'm not committing to it,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Maybe that's one way to,
Well, we'll come back to you with some,
Just so that it doesn't appear as the buddy system. I
Right.
hear that so many times, and
That's
I'm
the
just,
thing is.
Yeah.
like, anything to be transparent and open, invite everyone, if they wanna be partakers in the in the conversation, then the more the merrier, I guess.
That's where my thought with qualified went, like, if we're gonna turn someone away, it should be whichever reason why.
and we can, I mean, I can ask you afterwards, and I don't wanna keep going back to it, but I wanna make sure I understand why we're using Jake on this, and are we paying him to provide insight on this? Cause I'm not, there's a miss for that on me. I don't know if anybody, but
Something
everything,
like Burbach would be coming here directly to district.
if we're gonna
court,
pay an
whoever it
engineer
is.
and Jake has said, I'm not the pool guy, I don't know that I wanna pay him to consult on whether or not these are the right ideas.
Yeah, like we
For
could,
the
he could
pool.
provide us all the information, but the group independently needs to review it, I guess, right?
Yeah, there's just something there that I'm like,
Yeah.
if we're being charged by him, why are we using him and not the pool expert?
Right, and if we needed help to decide who that would be, maybe we pull him in to just help us look at who that would be. expert-wise from
Something, I don't know,
engineer,
I
but
just
not-
wanna make sure we're utilizing and paying the right.
Well, we're sort of using Jake as
I
our
agree.
pool committee right now, asking Burbach if, are there other options besides the most ideal option of completely tearing out the pool and replacing it is not, we don't have the resources for that. So Jake is
Just
able
looking
to
for
ask
some other
more
ideas.
detailed questions on, well, what if they did X, Y, Z, and it costs this much, something, finding more realistic solutions than the one that was presented by the Burbach consultant at the city council meeting. So we can actually open the pool maybe in the future. Because if we have to completely rebuild the pool, unless we win a lawsuit, we're not going to be able to do it.
And it's kind of similar with Ehlers and Cooney. Matt isn't the lead, but he'll be involved at times for us as our city attorney.
But if
Jake
we
will
already-
be involved at times for this.
But if we already have Jake working with Burbach, then what's the point of having a committee, I guess? Like if we're already leaning on Jake to have the conversations with Burbach to get ideas to open the pool.
Community engagement.
Yeah, I just feel like we're
Transparency to the public that they come
paying
to.
Jake for not,
I like, we should,
it's like the middle management, right?
Yeah.
In a corporation, you have this guy and this guy, like, so Jake's coming to us and giving us ideas, and then Jake's going to them. Well, like, we even just paid Jake once to come to us, and then we call Burbach. Or don't come to us, just something, I just feel like I wanna make sure we're spending our money in the right places and do this as best as we can. And I don't know that any of us know, we're all trying to figure it out, so I just think it's something we need to look at and talk about, is Jake the right resource for us in this?
I think you just kind of got thrown into it because he's been our resource, right? But that doesn't necessarily mean, maybe he can point us to a pool engineering firm that could be more.
Well, he kind of led us to Burbach
Yeah.
and the people we're with now in this process.
Mm-hmm.
Is there someone else that needs to be looked at, or is, or?
And we're still waiting for the Burbach, their full report. They said they're gonna get it to us.
Yeah,
So
or,
before we do anything, we need that report anyways.
yeah.
And
I
again,
don't, like it's been said several times, I don't think it's a bad idea to have this committee just for the word just slipped out of my head. Transparency of
Engagement.
if we can get some guys that dirt work, concrete, that have been doing this their whole lives, they understand it like the back of their hand.
Yeah.
And they're the old boys that's been doing this.
Mhm.
They've got all kinds of secrets. If they can help guide us or lead us,
Tell us what to
if we
watch
can
out
find
for.
those guys,
Yeah.
if they're willing, to take the time and step forward.
That was the original, sort
Yeah.
of motivation behind.
Just to
Yeah,
help, it was
yeah.
just a Linda helping hand,
Do we
basically.
have to do a motion for the committee?
Well, that's,
Well, we can come back
let us
Yeah.
talk,
with some more,
just,
a
we'll
more
define
defined
it more.
structure.
Yeah,
like,
let's do that.
We can do that.
Okay,
Because I think Christina wants us to have a certain number and define qualifications.
what's next?
Next was, I sent you an email, and you've probably seen it,
Mhm.
SWITA, they came up with a, plan to provide Glenwood residents rides to the Malvern Pool on Tuesdays and Thursdays, leaving at 1:00 from the middle school and getting back by 4. So I thought that was,
Did you let Joe know in Malvern that the
yeah.
influx of people maybe? Okay,
Yeah, let 'em
they'll be
know.
prepared for us.
They knew already.
They already knew.
But
So it's $5 a person or $5 a family?
I think it's a person.
per person?
And you have to sign up through
You have to be
SWITA.
on their
You have to be on
Ride
their
pass thing or.
ride pass thing, yeah.
That was.
And it doesn't include the pass to the pool too. You have to buy. But they said they're testing it out and they'll end it if there's not ridership. So they want to get the word out to see if, if people are interested.
Yeah. Might help some people that don't have the means to
Sort
get
of
their
like use
kids.
it or lose it sort of thing.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
That was
Great.
a great idea by SWITA. So
Yeah.
It's nice of them to do.
I love how the community is coming together to come up with some, I don't know, some alternative activities for kids, right? In lieu of the pool not being open.
Absolutely.
Other updates, I've been working on the GRC urban renewal plan. I went to the planning and zoning meeting to get their letter that's required. We had the consultation session today where we had sent out letters to the county and the school to come. And only the county showed up and they sort of didn't have any questions, so. Then other projects going on, working on just all the regular things that come up during the day, so.
What about the trail? Anything new on that, the easements or?
The trail, I've got some information from Matt Woods on what we need to do to get an easement, so gotta work through that. So it's inching along.
When Larry was here last about GRC, he had mentioned that they were gonna work on, I had asked about how the community would just know about what's going on. And he had said they were gonna work on getting a website or something up. Do you know?
Nothing yet.
Nothing yet?
There's still no funding yet from this, even though.
They'll be at the
We're
next
working on
meeting too. They'll be out here on June 10th too, for the public hearing for the urban renewal plans, so we can ask them then.
Okay. If people wanted to know, is there a way to get involved? Is it going to the zoning and planning? Is that, it's not regularly on the agenda, right? So you'd have to know if.
No, the city's not officially involved with the, whatever that group's called, the Glenwood Redevelopment Corporation.
Yeah.
So they're the ones officially tasked with overseeing the development up there. So the city, we don't know any of the plans besides, but the mayor works on the committee.
And we haven't had a meeting for a while.
Yeah.
We're still kind of we're in a waiting pattern right now to get things.
I feel like I get asked that a lot, and then I always feel like I should know more than I know, to just let people know, and I don't even know where
As soon
to
as I know something.
guide them. Yeah, I don't even know where to tell them to go.
When I get questions, I tell them to call,
Call Larry.
Larry Lim or Mark Norman.
Yeah.
Maybe if he gets a lot of calls, that'll motivate him to get that website up really quick.
All that red tape with the
I
state.
know.
That's all from me.
Okay.
Can I ask one clarified question on the park piece? So the next step, for the grinder was the balls in Ron's court to reach out to Mike? That's the
Yep.
next step?
Yep. he
So
needs
we
to-
tabled it for that?
Yeah.
So it's on him.
It's
So, all
been tabled.
right,
Yep.
so
We need to
next.
do a motion to table that. Do you have to
I don't
do, I think, I'm gonna ask for a motion to table the request for the grinder bid with miners. Until we get
moved,
more
Smithers.
information. Thank you, Lori. Second.
McEwen?
Okay, hang on, let me get back to my block.
I just want to make sure we know what actionable item.
Smithers and McCune.
Actually, it was with Canesville.
It was with Kingsville.
Was that-
As opposed to miners, it was with Canesville.
No, miners is the stump.
Yeah.
That's what he's gonna go talk
I
to.
thought they like lumped it all into one and he
No, I
wanted
thought
to-
the
He was gonna-
Kingsville was
The stump
tree.
removal was gonna be a different.
Yeah, Canesville was tree and brush removal.
brush,
And
so
we
that's-
tabled stump because he
We
needs to go
tabled
talk to.
stump.
He was
He
just
didn't
gonna,
say with who. He
Yeah.
said he
Miner's
not
Tree
to
was his-
spend over $5,000.
Yeah, so he didn't even
yeah,
have any.
Contract.
I wrote down Miners Tree was one of them.
That was, Miners Tree was the one
It
that
was one of the
included the
three
stump
ori-
in one, that one tree that's coming
It was
down,
one.
that they
Okay.
would have grinded
Oh,
the
for
stump
7
as well for
That's what he was
7,000.
saying. Okay, I missed
Since
that.
he's got so many more, it didn't make sense.
Okay, so we are just going to,
Can you read what you have?
So what I wrote down is that he just wanted to get the tree removal and the brush removal from Canesville for $5,000.
Okay.
Yes.
and now a motion to table the request for
And
the
then-
stump grinding.
Did we vote on that one?
we voted on that one, and that was McEwen and Duran.
Yep.
And then we needed to table, he had 20 stumps that he said.
Yeah, I have
And
20
that
stumps.
was, he was going to, but then you guys brought up bringing Mike into the picture with the stump grinder.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so we won't mention minors, we'll just, the motion is to table the stump grinding request.
To see if he could use Mike.
Yeah. Okay,
But you
so
did approve the motion for the.
But there's
Our
no
tree and
motion
brush.
on here.
Yeah,
There-
he brought it up as a
He brought it up
secondary
as a
thing.
secondary thing. There was no,
But when
sort
you
of
say
split it out 'cause
table,
it's included in the.
yeah, so we can make a motion because it's.
I think we
part
need
of
to
it.
table that motion for that because it was included in the main motion.
We voted on the.
We voted only on the tree removal and the brush removal. The way it's written, the stump grinding needs to be noted as it being tabled
Okay.
so that
So
it's not
Table
6 months from now
stump
looking
grinding.
like, oh, they approved
Yes.
stump grinding too, if you look at the agenda.
Is that clear, Mitch?
So, does that make sense?
that-
Clear as mud.
Yep.
Okay. And then I just want to make the action item then for the next 2 weeks. Ron is the one that's initiating the reach out to Mike to talk
Yes.
about the, and we'll be
And has to come back to us in 2 weeks. So we just need a roll call then. Did you get the names of the motion in the second? Smithers and McCune? For this table.
I got McEwen and Duran for the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah, Smithers and McCune did the table of, the motion to table the
Okay,
stump.
Smithers and McEwen.
Yes, to table the stump. And now I'll ask for a roll. call.
Sorry, Danny.
No,
I'm
that's
just trying to
okay.
make it as clear as possible.
Roll call, please, when you're ready.
Yep. All right. Lyons,
Yes.
Duran,
Yes?
Smithers. Yes. McEwen.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, Kate.
Yes.
Oh, okay, Kate.
There you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Motion to approve resolution 3717, a wage resolution. There's 2 items listed on it. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Smithers?
Roll call, please, if there's no discussion. I'll hit myself.
Kate,
Yes.
Smithers,
Yes.
McEwen,
Yes.
Lyons,
Yes.
Duran.
Yes.
Okay. And then a motion for approval of a special events permit, Hillside House of Hell live music. Tell us about that.
So basically, what they would normally do is they would come in and fill out a sound permit, but we just added all the permits together and put it on a special events app. So they're just doing their haunted house and they want live music. So instead of doing.
All the time, or?
Just this specific date.
So instead of just a stereo playing, they'd have like a live DJ?
Yeah,
Or
they'll
something.
have that band that comes out.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's on
Will there be an
June
issue with sound, the
June
volume and?
6 to 11.
Music no later than 9:45.
Yeah, music would
Okay.
stop at no later than 9:45.
Okay,
It's their normal, usual, they do a live band.
so the neighbors don't complain anymore about the music?
Now,
Oh, no, they still.
depending on the day.
Okay,
They'll say they're loud.
well, do they
When they're in
affect the
operation,
sound?
they're loud.
We have that ordinance on sound, is that,
Oh, I
are they,
know, it's,
is that over the decibel or whatever?
I can hear it clear as day from the police department.
Yes. So do we need to address that?
Well, I think part of it's the hills and valleys, the way the sound travels. But, yeah, we've been paying attention to them.
Okay,
Didn't we buy one of those meters?
I thought we did.
We can go out and test it when they have it and see. where-
And make them turn it down if it
Yep.
goes above. Okay,
and remind them when they get the permit
Conditional use
of what it
permit.
is, so.
That was one of the
And
things
just
that
being
was
proactive.
put in there for their attorney, and when Mr. Tucker was over here, they basically said that it was okay to do that as long as they weren't over a certain decibel.
so we need to verify that and make sure they're not, and maybe, like she said, remind them, do not go over the decibel, that we will be checking it. Okay, so is there a motion then?
They didn't have any fireworks on it?
No,
It's no, just checking. Yeah, she said no.
Actually, we did that already.
I was scaring back with the decibel check.
And just so you guys are aware, there's a new law that was signed by the state too, that you can't regulate fireworks during certain days now.
Yeah, we'll have to update our ordinance to affect that too.
You cannot regulate them on certain days, so meaning like set a time, set a,
Basically, they can pretty much set them off. They're trying to be in line with the new directive that came from Trump for the, what is it, the 250th anniversary or whatever that he was doing.
In Des Moines.
For the independence, that basically, they're doing a lot of stuff where the cities are gonna lose control over fireworks. So
Has that been approved already?
she signed off on it.
She did sign off.
It
We'll
says
need to
for-
get a copy of that so we can
Was it
update
just
that.
days or did
ordinance.
it, like, can we still say after 11
Certain
PM?
hours?
Like, you can do hours and that's about it, but certain days, there's a whole, I've gotta get.
Can you get a copy of that for us?
Yep.
Okay, we'll need to get that
Fireworks,
updated.
a little bit of verbiage out about
Okay.
a week ago, but.
and you said the 250th anniversary, so does that mean it's just this year?
And it's, well, no, I think it's gonna go in effect permanently.
Going,
They've been
Next
really
year.
pushing
Next
fireworks to
year.
state level for probably the last 4 or 5 years.
They've been making little changes.
And they make changes here and there, basically accommodate the people that manufacture fireworks and the people that sell them, so.
and do you might not know this, but do you know who pushes that or who lobbies for there to be less restriction on a fire hazard?
Whoever's up at Des Moines giving them the money, I guess.
We could ask the
Fireworks
league.
industry
The league might
The
know.
fire marshals and them.
Is this on the agenda?
But
What's
they
that?
want-
Is this on the agenda?
No, I asked a question that led us down this. It's just keeping us on track.
Yeah, sorry, Mitch.
Okay, I'm asking now for a motion then to approve the hillside house at Village. Special events. Motion? Is there a motion? Anybody?
So
Right.
moved, Smithers.
Is there a second?
Lines?
Any further discussion, dare I ask?
I would just say, I would really like them to be reminded of what that decimal level is and that they should have something that actually measures that on site. Just as a proactive
And we
way.
will make sure we do it too.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Roll call, please.
Smithers,
Yes.
Kate,
No,
Duran,
Yes,
McEwen,
Yes.
Lyons.
Yes.
Thank you.
can I ask one last question? Are the residents, alerted, are they made aware in advance of this live music night? So if they wanted to not be home, are they,
We haven't had to
Given
ask them to do that before.
can that be a requirement of the
I can call
approving the
Sean, tell him
permit
he
that they
needs
have
do
to,
it.
I mean, I guess it's alerting everyone in Glenwood if we can all hear it, but particularly people on the,
I'll
Because it's
call
also
Sean
been
tomorrow,
for
tell him that He
parking.
needs to make sure that everybody in the.
It's approved, but let the neighbors know.
Yeah.
Okay, he's gonna let them.
that's common courtesy.
All right, moving on to union contract, Mitch.
Can table it.
Table, it's not done.
Yeah, we're going back and forth making corrections.
Oh, okay, so motion to table.
So moved, Duran?
Second.
Kate's,
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Smithers,
Yes.
Duran,
Yes?
Lyons,
Yes.
McEwen,
Yes.
Kate.
yes.
Okay, moving on to the block, community development block grant. I need a motion to approve the following pass-through for CDBG funds. This is for Arbor Hills in the amount of $16,457.23. Is there a motion?
So moved, Smithers.
And a second?
Kate's,
Any further discussion?
One quick typo in there. I don't know how important it is, but we're missing the O on Swipco.
We are.
Okay, we'll
I will
correct that
correct
Swipco
it.
spelling.
I-
Thank you.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Duran,
Smithers. Yes?
Thanks, Smithers.
McEwen,
Yes.
Smithers,
Yes.
Lyons,
Yes.
Kate.
yes.
Okay, and then Community Development Block Grant for Downtown Revive. This is a motion for an invoice for Curtis Architecture in the amount of $9687.05. Motion, please.
McEwen, or
Second.
so moved, McEwen, my bad, I
Is there a
forgot the
second?
words.
Duran?
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
McEwen,
Yes.
Kate,
Yes.
Duran,
Yes.
Smithers,
Yes.
Line.
Yes.
Okay, mayor report. I'm passing this down. The Delta Grant awarded us this wonderful outdoor filling station for the park.
Awesome.
And it includes a little dog bowl fountain at the bottom. Isn't that so cute? So I was very grateful for that. We'll need to get this to A-Stroke for, I don't know if you've done that yet, Mitch, but to get it
Done
on.
it a couple times.
Okay,
Is he met? We do.
I just wanted to share that with council that it will be getting installed hopefully very soon at the park,
Where's it going?
in that lake park.
Is it going?
Yeah, but
I'm not 100% sure. I talked to him. I knew where it was going to go, where the ice machine was, but now he's talking about another spot, so.
Then it'll go over an existing water.
It'll be near water.
That's what I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah, it's gonna be near water, so I just need to verify where he's gonna do it. So I'll let you know when he gets it installed.
I love that. So it's a water fountain, a bottle filling station, and a
Mhm.
dog bowl.
Yeah, it's really nice.
that'd be great.
Okay.
By ball fields.
Yeah, it would be nice to get more of those.
Yeah, and who donated that?
I filled out a Delta Dental grant,
Did you?
yes.
Grant writer.
and,
Oh, there's our grant writer.
Yeah.
Mini grants. I'm a mini grant writer, I'm not a big grant writer. Okay, council member.
I don't have a report, but I just want to make myself accountable for the banner. We did the banner contest, and I want to work with you on making sure we get those ordered.
We ordered.
They're up already.
They're
up.
But we
Oh,
needed
well,
an
then let me hold
extra-
myself
get
accountable
extra,
for looking
right?
around.
The corners, the
Hung up
interior,
this-
like the.
They're not
corners.
everywhere.
Oh, okay.
He's working on, there was an issue with they weren't big enough. So he took just the spring ones, redid those and they fit, so then he came back and took the other ones.
He had them all.
I had them all.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now he's redoing the others and he's also gonna
In the right
throw in the
order,
extras that we need to give to the award.
the winners.
You're entirely too efficient for me, my man.
Well, that was Nancy and Danny.
You guys are incredible. Thank you for taking that. If there's anything that I can
It's
help.
on the corner when you walk out, you'll see the spring
And they
one.
just put 'em
We
on the
didn't get
corners.
one for everyone because we couldn't afford
Yeah,
that, but they're up, they're
You
on.
put them on the, you put them on the corners.
Yeah, the corners, the four corners.
Yep.
Yeah,
Awesome, awesome,
and it
awesome.
looks really nice. I forget who the spring winner was. Who was that?
It was the bird, like the
Yeah,
window.
No, who the artist was.
Yeah.
Oh,
Was
was it the flower one?
Yeah, like the tulip.
The tulip.
that,
No,
No,
hers was
hers
a
is the.
bird as well, but it's running between
was
summer.
that
Yeah,
Maggie maybe?
okay. Any other comments?
I just wanted to make a comment. The cemetery, the Glenwood Cemetery, looked amazing. I don't know if anybody's been out there, but it was mowed beautifully, like the straightest lines I've ever seen mowed in the cemetery, and it looked really great
I
on
was there for the
Memorial
Memorial service on Monday morning.
He
Day. It looked,
Mike had been working real hard to make sure that it was perfect for Memorial Day, working extra hours, so.
He did an amazing.
I'm out there like almost every night walking, and it looked amazing. So I just want to,
And I do want to mention now
that was
that
a lot of
we're
work.
talking about that, on June 13th, they are going to dedicate Field 165 for Officer Abbott, so.
Yeah.
If you can be there, and I'll be talking to Ron about making sure everything looks good there too, so. Okay. Is there a motion for adjournment?
Smithers.
Second.
All in favor?
Duran.
Aye.
Aye.
Danny, you'll get us
Donnie,
copies of
I
the
heard
food truck ordinance so we can look at it.
Oh, I had something else to say, but.
Oh, Don, no, we're not done. Say it, Donnie.
She didn't hit the gavel.
Sorry, 8:25, I'm so sorry.
Donnie.
What do you want to say?
We'll be back July 12th. Relay for Life's doing a
Ooh,
caregiver, survivor and caregiver event down at Glenwood Lake Park. It's a Saturday, there's gonna be a band that night. I think it's the Journey cover band.
ooh.
And one of their guys is actually a cancer survivor. the Relay for Life Committee is trying to put together right now. We want to do something at like a family-friendly thing. We've talked about some games, just small, like Plinko, ducks in a pond, or we've talked with Stephen at the Museum about doing food. We've ran through a couple different ideas. We got a meeting, I believe, this Thursday night with the Relay Committee to try and iron this down. But I talked with Mitch and, was it Danny that day? Yeah, about getting an application just to fill out. I've spoke with Ron about it. So whatever we come up with, I'll be back. I'll try and get on the agenda
For 2 weeks.
to present it.
Perfect.
This is what we're thinking. This is blah, blah, blah. So.
Excellent.
July 12th.
Awesome.
On my calendar.
Remind us each meeting until then, please.
I'm just gonna roll my grill out there.
Don, I have,
You play the drums? You play the drums?
No.
I have a ridiculous number of outdoor games, like
Okay.
croquet, force for your volleyball, an actual volleyball net, cornhole, like
This is-
dumb crosswords on
No, that's fine. This is my.
I have, that's what I
Back
have,
involved with Relay for a while.
Uh-huh.
I can't remember all the other ladies on the committee, but one of them, they had something in school where they had a bunch of games. So we're,
Maybe after prom?
I don't know.
Thank you for coming. Jumbo Twister, Jumbo
Yeah.
Jenga, Jumbo Fort.
We were supposed to meet last week, but with the holiday weekend that we're on, so I think we're meeting tomorrow night or Thursday night. I don't even know what the holiday is. So anyways, I'll be back.
Cool.
Yeah, I think you have to sign up to their website.
I didn't think they were gonna do anything at the home. I thought the one event was the bigger.
Well,
So that's
we're a
awesome.
little bit short of our goal.
Oh, you are.
So we wanted to try and have one more, like I said, this is more of a survivor and caregiver. And I think we talked to Stephen about doing, I don't think they stuff for kids, you know, get their families out a couple hours before the concert. And then maybe they'll hang around.
I read the notes.
Yeah.
He was gonna